that's going to be in effect for Johnson, Logan, and Scott. Now, that only runs for, well, until 8 p.m., so a little more than an hour from now. I've been waiting to see if the Weather Service is going to issue any additional watches for the rest of the viewing area. I kind of thought they would, but they've yet to do so. And so we'll continue awaiting their word. Either way, that doesn't change the impacts of the showers and the storms. Our risk for severe weather today, it's a level 2 out of 5. Thus far, I haven't quite seen that materialize. Danny Cassidy says hello. I haven't seen that severe weather threat materialize yet. We'll continue watching it just to be on the safe side very closely. Got a picture from Greg Humphrey in Paris looking towards Subiaco. Greg, if you're on the stream this evening, thank you for sending that in. You can always find me on Facebook. That's probably the best way to find me is on Facebook. I'll pull up that as well so I can check some more of those messages. Or, of course, you can text those to us, 479-785-5000. That's the number here at the station. Of course, when you do text us, it's really helpful for me to include the location so I know where we're looking at. And I love to give you credit, proper credit that you deserve. So include your name on anything that you send us as well, 479-785-5000. We've noticed across Fort Smith area, we've not seen a lot, right? We're really just now starting to see those storms begin to push into the river valley. As a result, it is hot and it is muggy. It's currently 97 degrees in Fort Smith with a heat index of 106. We can't get some rain to you folks in Fort Smith quick enough. Quite the contrary in Fayetteville, where we've seen some rain. It's cooled us down to 75 degrees. No heat index, but it is steamy with all that moisture now in the air. That is going to continue to be a problem for the rest of us this evening. Once that sun goes down, it should feel a little bit better. Sunset a little after 8:40 tonight. We'll take a closer look into some of these cells that are the strongest right now between Siloam Springs and Fayetteville. A lot of lightning. That's you're hearing the thunder. And if you're wondering, okay, Scott, what's up? Well, there's nothing severe, but they are strong. And so they're impacting a lot of folks, whether you're at the concert, trying to go to something else this evening. You're going to want the rain gear. Now, if you do have plans to go to the concert, they don't allow umbrellas, but you can put a poncho in your pocket. I suspect somebody's charging a pretty penny for those there at the stadium, given this has been in the forecast for a while. Someone was smart and wanted to try to make a buck. Those are moving generally towards the south and southeast, but you notice they're moving really slowly, which is going to result in some localized flooding. Now, we've not seen too bad of flash flooding, but earlier in the afternoon, early part of the evening, we got a big gully washer in Madison County. Those storms just didn't move much at all, and there's so much moisture in the air, and I know you felt it. It's the humidity. That's going to result in some pretty efficient rainmakers. These storms are going to dump a lot of rain in of themselves. Now you factor in the slow storm speed, and well, goodness, you're looking at certainly some a lot of rain in a short amount of time. Some rainfall rates were up as high as 3 to 4 inches an hour in Madison County. Now, they've come down a little bit since then, but even if you look into Fayetteville right now, even Prairie Grove, there's still pockets where it's kind of high. Now, this isn't to say you're going to be guaranteed 3 or 4 inches, but north side of Prairie Grove, you get into West Fayetteville, west of the interstate, you're looking at about 2 to 3 inches an hour. And what this is doing is the radar telling us, hey, if this storm doesn't move at all for an hour, you're going to get that much rain in your rain gauges. Now, we know it's moving a little bit, but I think we're probably going to end up close to, an inch or two out of that cell alone that's right now moving through a broader Washington County. Let's go into Benton County, this cell. Then we're going to work our way back over to Johnson County as that storm is strong there as well. Siloam Springs, you've been looking at some rain over the last little bit. That's probably starting to add up. This was a pretty strong thunderstorm that moved through. It never went severe warm, but it did have winds at one point up to about 60 miles per hour. I know Zombie Al is on the stream on Twitter. We're streaming there live right now. She sent a good report in to us of some gusty winds that made it feel a little bit cool, some heavy downpours. And you can see that lightning there as well. Plenty of that from Farmington through Prairie Grove, Fayetteville, back over towards Elkins. But now we can work our way towards Devil's Den State Park. Of course, we've got a lot of folks camping this time of the year there. You got a little shower. It's nothing more than that right now, but you're probably hearing the rumbles of thunder, and I would anticipate some more widespread rain and storms to roll through Devil's Den and Lake Fort Smith State Park for those that are going to be outdoors watching the stream on your mobile phones. in the next, let's say, hour to an hour and a half. You've actually got one developing on top of Lake Fort Smith State Park there now, just outside of Mountainburg. If you're floating the Mulberry, tuning into the stream, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and of course on the 5 News mobile app, Weather Impact 24/7 stream. Try to be in as many places as possible in hopes that it's helpful to you folks. No matter where you need us, you can hopefully always find us. If you're going to be out and about there, you might want to go ahead and, if you're on the river, you might want to go ahead and try to get back to a safe spot for you. Plenty of lightning is going to accompany these cells, and with that much rainfall coming down pretty quickly, things can get contrary pretty quickly. So that's a look there. White Rock Mountain. Rain starting to move into the north side of Ozark. I know there's an outdoor concert series there at the stage put on by Main Street Ozark. You got some rain on the north side of town. It's not heavy right now, and it may barely just miss you to the north and east part of town. Whereas, meanwhile, in the river bottoms of Johnson County into Logan County, from Scranton through New Blaine, back over towards Knoxville, this is a pretty strong thunderstorm, and it is also dumping a decent amount of rain with it as well. In fact, rainfall rates with this, especially north of New Blaine, actually totaling up to about, let's say, about 3 or so inches an hour. You get over closer to the Hartman bottoms, you're about 3 to 4 inches. And so, it's going to start adding up in those rain gauges pretty quickly there with that cell. And of course, you saw the amount of lightning with it specifically. It's up there as well. So it's making a lot of noise, but it's more bark than bite right now, although I wouldn't be surprised to see some gusty winds out of that cell, specifically up to about 40 or so miles per hour. Now you get to Mount Magazine, there's some storms coming through. Another state park folks are probably out here this weekend. If you're at Cove Lake, you might want to go ahead and get off the lake, especially with that much lightning in the vicinity. It's almost 7 o'clock. Probably not too many people out at the lake this evening, but some stragglers. I'd probably be one myself if I weren't here. Some lightning is going to cause some issues. They're south of Boone. They got a couple of pop-ups near Vesta. There's a little pop-up shower. That's seemingly developing along that outflow boundary. And so notice this. If you're in Fort Smith, Van Buren, Alma right now, let's say Rudy, Lee Creek, Natural Dam, Charleston, this little fella right here, this green line, I know it doesn't look like much because frankly it's not, but it's what we call an outflow boundary or a gust front, same term, depending on who you are and kind of where you grew up. You might call it something different, but essentially what that is, it's some rain cooled air rushing out of these thunderstorms back behind it. And that rain cooled air translates in the form of some gusty winds hitting the surface, and it blows up some dust, and it collects some small bugs and insects, things of that nature. The radar doesn't know that it's not rain. It just sees it as some light returns in the atmosphere, and it shows up as this thin green line. So it's not rain, it's actually just dust and bugs, but it tells us that's the leading edge of that rush of cool air, which is getting ready to move into Van Buren, eventually into Fort Smith, Greenwood, Charleston. Areas out ahead of this, you'll get those winds to pick up pretty quickly. Now, you're not going to expect any thunderstorms immediately with it unless that outflow boundary does kick up a storm. And you can see that's what it did here in Yell County, parts of eastern Logan County, especially closer to New Blaine. Those little cells actually developed along that gust front there as it rolled through the area. And so we could watch for additional of those to develop, especially going extending into Crawford, Washington, Adair, Delaware County. This little thunderstorm is outside of our viewing area, but it's now gone severe. That's going to be over to the west of Delaware County. So Locust Grove area, again, I wish you were our viewing area. You're not. If you're on the stream, though, I'll keep you posted kind of as time allows. We'll take a big picture view here, and it's pretty scattered in nature. These cells thus far are largely behaving. We've not seen any severe warnings yet. I'm hoping maybe we can avoid any bad weather at all. Now, obviously, it's raining and it's storming, and that's going to cause a monkey wrench into some folks' plans, especially as these continue to work their way towards the south over the next several hours. Let me loop this for the last hour. You don't find a lot of southerly progress. These storms, they're not stationary, but generally only moving at about 30 miles per hour tops. That's a snail's pace, really, in terms of storm movement, which is why I do have this concern that we could see some flash flooding before the night is over with, especially if we continue to see some additional development, as is likely between now and midnight. What is the window for the worst storms? If you're asking that question, your answer is this: between now and about 10:30. That's the window where we're going to see the strongest of activity. Not to say everyone sees a severe storm, but that's when we're going to see the strongest. Now, I'm going to show you the latest futurecast. It's brand new, so I've not looked at it. We're going to be looking at it together. That's what it would say in about an hour from now. And I'd say that's generally, it's probably pretty on point. Some of those cells getting further into the river valley. Fort Smith's maybe starting to see some shower and thunderstorm closer to the 10 o'clock hour. What about Fayetteville and that concert? Yeah, there's storms in the vicinity, and that's the best we can say. And by 11 o'clock, maybe Northwest Arkansas is starting to dry out, at least briefly, with more rain shifting into the river valley. I don't know if anyone's going to be entirely dry until mid-morning tomorrow, but you can see 8, 9, 10 o'clock, rain chances really start to decrease, with the exception of perhaps some additional afternoon pop-ups tomorrow afternoon. Nothing uncommon for July around these parts. So time now is 6:56. What I'm going to do is go grab a cup of coffee. I'm going to mute my mic. I'm going to go do that. I'll be right back here with you here in a couple of minutes. My intention is to keep this stream live until the storms are either gone or the threat's just entirely over, whichever one happens first. And so maybe you want to go grab a cup of coffee as well. Maybe it's too late, whatever you want, some sweet tea. This is going to be the place you can find me. We'll continue to stream on 5 News Plus, on YouTube, Facebook, and on the mobile app as well. Anywhere you could possibly need us, we'll be there. You're watching the Weather Impact 24/7 stream. Back to live radar. We're going to continue tracking these storms. I want to take a look into Fayetteville. Just got a report from Razorback Stadium of some small hail within that cell. So we're going to take a look real closely. We'll pause that right there. Hail is going to look a little bit like this. Can't really get much to show up on. Okay, there it is. It is a very faint signal Let's see if I can get that. It's going to be about the size of pennies. It's a pretty localized area of some hail that may just now be moving over Razorback Stadium, moving towards downtown Fayetteville. Goalie Park may be getting in on some of that. So if you live in that area, that's where I would expect that. Now, penny size, that's certainly enough to hurt, right, if you're going to be caught out in it for the folks at Razorback Stadium. But generally, it's not enough to actually cause any type of vehicle or roof damage. That starts at quarter size. For some context there, that green W is going to be the Walmart neighborhood market. That's going to be the one there on, which one is that? That's going to be off of Weddington right there. So east of 49 along Weddington, you get up over towards 112 and eventually over towards 71. That's where that hail is going to be right now. Just for some context, hail is going to be a possibility in the strongest of thunderstorms here this evening, but it's probably not going to get any bigger than quarter size. This is more than likely going to be more of a wind potential should a storm actually reach its fullest potential. Thankfully, that hasn't actually happened much, at least thus far. Now, again, we're really pretty early into the window of severe weather. When we look at storm fuel, which is only one of many ingredients, but it is certainly relevant, there's been a decent amount in the atmosphere. Right now, you're noticing moderate to at times pockets of some high storm fuel still around the area. And that's pretty uniform across the region, with the exception of where we've seen some of those thunderstorms already kind of use some of it up or is in the process of using some of it up. As we rotate this through for the last hour, one of the things that I just continue to notice is no matter really what segment of the line you're looking at, and it's really a broken line, you kind of see it oriented from, let's say, northeast Oklahoma into northwest Arkansas, extending southeast into actually near Little Rock. These storms just aren't making a lot of movement. And so we're going to continue to see some heavy rainfall rates, and that's going to result in at least some localized flooding in the low-lying areas and the poor drainage areas, but perhaps even elsewhere in terms of flash flooding. That's a thing we want to watch for over the next couple of hours, in addition to the severe weather potential. Saw on the stream a couple of comments, what about Poto? What about my town? Hey, here's the thing. If we're not talking about your town, that's actually good news. I do think Poto is going to see some showers and some storms, but it may be a few hours from now. If we continue to see this line evolve towards the south, as I would expect, I think that is going to really provide everyone a pretty decent chance of rain. Now, behind this line, I can't entirely rule out additional showers from, let's say, Avoca through Bella Vista, Gravette, Decatur, Rogers, even over Huntsville and Eureka Springs. Can't entirely rule out some additional development, but most of what is yet to develop is going to be along and ahead of this boundary. So kind of gives you an idea that, maybe to the north of it, you probably have decreasing chances of showers and some storms. Again, it's not a zero chance for redevelopment to the north of the line, but it's definitely less of a chance. You can see along that boundary, that gust front we were talking about, if you were on the stream here about 10 minutes ago, I mentioned there could be some additional development along it, and we're starting to actually see that here just south and west of Mount Magazine. In fact, I bet there's a gorgeous view right there. So that little green line, that's going to be the gust front. It's basically just a mini cold front, some cool rain-cooled air coming out of these thunderstorms up here near New Blaine and Spadra, Morrison Bluff. That cold air is rushing out, and it's acting like a little bit of a wedge, like a cold front just on a smaller scale, and that kicks up additional development. You're seeing that right here along the front right now, and perhaps to a certain degree into south of Boonville with that spotty little shower. I know it's spotty. There's not much to those right now, but hey, a storm has to start somewhere, and we start tracking them pretty early just to make sure they don't misbehave. But thus far, things have been okay. I want to see what this looks like over the last hour. It looks like there's, I wanted to say maybe a gradual weakening trend with that, but even then, I'm not sure I'm ready to say that. It's just not a very organized system. Nothing about that cluster of storms spanning Siloam Springs down towards Mountainburg, over towards Watalula, Cass, Winslow, West Fork. None of that looks organized at this point. And please don't think I'm complaining. I'm certainly not. That lack of organization is going to help mitigate at least some severe weather potential, minimally for the short term, as we see it right now. Although this cell coming closer to Devil's Den, that one's kind of starting to increase pretty quickly right along Highway 74, the Blackburn community. Let me call out a couple of roads here in case you're familiar with them. That's going to be Taylor Road, Chimney Field Road, really just the Devil's Den State Park area. North of the Bobby Hopper Tunnel, you're probably going to start to see some heavier downpours, maybe even some pockets of hail trying to develop. Right, yep, sure enough, there's a little bit of hail starting to show up right there. That's probably going to be nickel to quarter size. Okay, radar is detecting perhaps quarter size hail potentially coming out of that. That cell caught my attention because it did look like it was starting to pulse up. In terms of wind speeds with it, no, there's not too much wind at the moment. More heavy rain and possibly some hail mixing in with that. Right on top of the Blackburn community. That's going to be east of Strickler, southwest of the Brentwood community. If Levi Smither is on the stream tonight, he, of course, lives in the Brentwood community. We're talking just west of Winslow. So, folks in Devil's Den State Park, if you're watching on the mobile phone, on your cell phone, who calls it mobile phone anymore? Why am I sounding like that? If you live anywhere near around Devil's Den, that strong thunderstorm coming through. Who just texted me? Let me see here. Danny Cassidy. He says hello again. Meteorologist Danny Cassidy. Our morning, Matt. Great fella. Always looking to lend a hand. We appreciate that. Lightning coming up on that cell there as well. I bet that's going to be the one to watch over the next few minutes. It's small right now, but mighty near Colt Road, Taylor Road, Bethlehem Road, Signal Hill Road. It's going to be just right outside of Winslow, especially right along 49. You're definitely going to have some slow drive times through there, up and down 49, anywhere between, let's say, Mountainburg all the way up towards Springdale with that cluster of storms. We're good in the River Valley right now. If you're in Van Buren, especially the Van Alma area, perhaps even getting closer to Cedarville, Fern. You've got this gust front coming through. That's the one we're watching for some additional development to occur on. That little gust front's going to kick up some winds, about 30 or so miles per hour. So it's going to get breezy for a second. There's not going to be any rain associated with that specifically unless you get down here into parts of Logan County. But that thin green line now moving through Lavaca, those winds just picked up. They're going to be coming into the Chaffee area, Central City, Barling, Greenwood, Fort Smith, eventually into Pecola, Roland, Muldrow, Moffat Bottoms. I wonder if there's something going on at the Speedway this evening. It is Saturday night after all. Those winds are going to pick up there over the next few minutes. That's not going to be severe, and there's really not going to be much actual rain or storm activity with it right now, but that's something to watch. What that tells us is those showers and storms behind it have some rain-cooled air. It also tells us if they're more outflow dominant, that's good news. If they weren't, well, we'd be even more concerned with the potential of some stronger weather, but that outflow actually is a signal that maybe they're going to be more weaker with time. The cell near New Blaine, Morrison Bluff, close to Subiaco, that has weakened, but the rain's still falling. This cell on the south side of Devil's Den is starting to pulse up too. So you really have two strong cells on either side of Devil's Den. Lake Fort Smith State Park, you're getting in on the action. I'm going to make the lightning here a little bit bigger since that's a hazard in of itself for folks outside. Too big, Scott, too big. Okay, there we go. Let's roll with that. Anywhere from Cass, and I know it's late, not a lot of people perhaps at Shores Lake, but the rains continue. It's going to let up a little bit for you. I do think you're going to get more before the night's over with. Anywhere from Reading Campground to Shores Lake towards Birds Adventure Center. Horsehead Lake, you got some rain rolling through right now. It's light. It's not too much at all. Not much more than a sprinkle. Cohill finally starting to see a little bit of rain move in. Todd Bryant was wanting at least a half inch. And so I said, Todd, I hope we can get you that. Some of these rain showers have produced a lot more than that. So you better be careful what you're asking for. You may get more than what you're bargaining for. That thunderstorm's really starting to blossom up south of Mount Magazine. Boy, if you were on the patio there, at Mount Magazine or the restaurant looking towards the south, my goodness, that sure would be a beautiful view of that storm. It's going to continue drifting off towards the southwest to some extent. Really, it's more or less just back building off towards the southwest. It's not really moving much at all. This maroon polygon from Dardanelle through over towards Pettigrew Mountain, Danville. They've had some pretty notable flooding there, which is, again, as we've discussed, a bit of a concern of mine tonight. Looks like we got a little thunder shower starting to try to develop near Mulberry. Gosh, it's so small and tiny right now, but between Mulberry and Graphic, you've got a little shower starting to roll through. It ain't much to it right now, but let's see what it grows into. The lightning counts have really come up between Winslow and Mountainburg. I think if we're going to see a severe thunderstorm warning, this one's going to be the one that tries to get there. We'll see if it can actually do it, but though it's going to be the strongest cluster of cells right now. Some weakening continues in Fayetteville. What about the concert? The problem is this: weakening as they may be, there's still lightning all around Fayetteville. Look at all those lightning strikes right there. I mean, you're definitively looking at lightning delays continuing until the last strike, and that may be a little bit longer. Concert wasn't scheduled to start until 7:30, but university officials have told me that they're already in a delay, and they are asking folks that are there to stay in the concourse, in the covered areas. They don't want people to go to their seats just yet, which is a good safety move on their part. It can be a little bit annoying, and I've gotten a lot of messages from folks that have the stream pulled up there at the stadium, and I know you want to get to a good concert. Hopefully we can get these storms out of there. You'll have to watch this activity back towards the northwest that eventually is going to continue either moving towards the southeast, or maybe it just dissipates entirely. That's going to be your better bet. If you want to cross your fingers for something, it's that dissipates back towards Siloam, over towards the Weddington community. That eventually starts to track towards the southeast, and it does have a little bit of lightning with it. Not a lot, but a little bit. But it only takes that one strike, and then those officials there at the U of A, they got a delay. Right now in Poteau, it's beautiful. Just a few clouds starting to build into the area. Wild what a few miles can do. Now, quite the opposite. Overcast skies in Bentonville there from our Jack Links camera looking over Walton Boulevard. You get into Fayetteville. This is going to be downtown, so really close to the stadium there. Light to moderate rain continuing there. It's cooled us off quite a bit, but unfortunately for the folks that are kind of standing outside, and probably not the best of news with regards to that. You get back into Fort Smith. Now we're looking off towards the south. I'm actually going to spin that camera back towards the southwest to see if we can't see that storm coming out of Benton County. Excuse me, Logan County. In my mind, I was thinking Boonville B, Benton. I know that doesn't make any sense. Okay. How convenient is this? Let me pull that back up. So this is our ACHE camera, South Fort Smith. I got it pointed back over towards Logan County, and there's a pole right in the way. What are the odds? Still seeing quite a bit of development here in southern Washington County. That latest radar sweep shows not only is the storm itself kind of building and expanding, but it's also picking up more and more lightning through Winslow, Devil's Den. That'll be moving closer to Chester and Mountainburg, starting to get in on the action. There's that gust front. It's getting closer and closer to Fort Smith. It's moving through Van Buren right now. Those winds are going to get kicked up. It's also moving through Central City and Barling at the moment. That's going to kick some winds up. Soon it'll be moving through Greenwood, and you'll notice that gust front has about to interact with that cell that's developed out ahead of it. That could enhance it right there, so let's watch that one. It looks like it may already be, as lightning starting to be detected in Boonville. Things are quiet in Waldron. Things are quiet in Heavener and Fanshawe for the time being. I do suspect we'll see something at some point overnight tonight. We're really just kind of getting things going over the last several hours. We have noticed a bit more development off towards the west. The problem is there's just really not a lot of movement with it. When you look into the Tulsa radar, yeah, there's a whole bunch of storms from Tulsa back towards Oklahoma City and Ponca City, but there's not a lot of movement our direction. It was projected that that cluster of storms about towards Tulsa would eventually start to move east our direction, and that may very well still be the case, but thus far, we're crawling at such a snail's pace, it's hard to imagine those actually end up getting here. Certainly not before the 10 o'clock newscast. But in addition to that southern Washington, northern Crawford County cell, this one that's developed pretty much just south of Mount Magazine, it's not in our viewing area, but look how much lightning that's really kicked up. That's going to be a strong thunderstorm. That one may go warned as well if it continues on that trajectory. I wonder if there's any hail with that. Yep, there's a small bit of hail there, penny size. Let me go back into northwest Arkansas. There was a pocket of hail. There's actually two pockets of hail. There's one that moved through portions of Fayetteville, including Razorback Stadium, where all those folks are at. And these cells that are starting to intensify from Mountain Bird through Devil's Den, that's got a little bit of hail with it as well. That's going to be a little bit smaller, penny size there as well through Lake Fort Smith, perhaps pea size, but nonetheless a little bit of hail, no matter how big or small. It's not going to hurt. Damage starts at about an inch in diameter or quarter size, so we're not seeing that. That's why there's no warning, but hail nonetheless mixing in with some of those big, fat, heavy raindrops. Fair amount of lightning, goodness gracious, there's plenty of that. It's just reason enough to probably try to be indoors if you can. Perhaps you're out camping. There's a lot of campers there at Devil's Den, Lake Fort Smith State Park this time of the year. Be careful about the lightning there. I'm curious what the rainfall rates are on this. What do you say we take a look? They're high, especially in the park right now. They're pretty high indeed. About 3 inches an hour. Get over towards Chester, about almost 3 to 4 inches an hour. With those storms moving so slow, again, these are areas where we're going to really watch for the potential of some flash flooding. Get over towards Chester. Deborah says they were definitely in the gust front a little while ago in Paris. It was howling through one of the windows, but now it's calmed down, and I wish it would rain. Gosh, a fair amount of rain right to your south. You got some to the north. You may still get some before the night's over with. Hey, Michelle, she's asking how big is the hail? Hopefully that answered that question there. Mary's asking, Scott, will the fort get anything, trying to decide if I should water plants or not? I think there's a decent chance Fort Smith will. Now, it may not be anytime soon. It may be in an hour or two, but I think Fort Smith will see a little bit of rain. It's scattered enough that there's certainly a chance that you get left out and skipped over. That's a possibility, I'm afraid. Van Buren, Alma outlook. You're good right now. Watch for these little thunderstorms to continue to slowly drift your way. Some of them are kind of developing just to your north, and so that's a thing that we'll have to continue to watch. When's it going to be over in Fayetteville? We just had a lightning strike by my apartment. Well, I know Fayetteville's it's a hot spot tonight. 30,000 people there at Razorback Stadium. If I'm focusing a little bit more on Fayetteville, and you're like, well, dude, why is he so obsessed with Fayetteville? I promise I'm not. There's just a lot of folks that are outdoors right now. Razorback officials expected up to 30,000 people there. So I've just kind of got that in mind, trying to keep everyone safe. I know a few people are tuned in live right now from the actual stadium waiting on that concert. Still got lightning in the area. This is going to continue on and off at least for the next hour. You know, there's not a lot of development thus far back behind this cluster, which may mark at least a window of opportunity to get that concert going, or whatever else you had in mind to do this evening in Fayetteville. But it's not going to be soon. The way these storms are just slowly meandering. That's the best word I can use, is just meandering. Brandy said, dang, the rain missed us. Where you at, Brandy? There may be a chance you still get some. I'll try to leave these comments pulled up. Sprinkling in Ozark currently from Bailey. Yeah, that rain's going to pick up. And goodness gracious, that concert outside. Carmi McChristian is there. She sent me some pictures and video from it. Yeah, rain's sprinkling now. It's probably going to increase to be a little bit more moderate rain here in the next several minutes. Susie, about 15 minutes outside of Devil's Den, getting a good rain, some lightning and some wind gusts. Yep, that certainly checks out. Susie, thank you for that report. Mulberry got a little bit of rain on top of you right now. Look at Lavaca, that thunderstorm. Wow, talk about a classic textbook example of an outflow boundary just really firing off some thunderstorms. That goes from 0 to nothing in like literally one radar sweep. Do you see that in Lavaca? Lightning starting to come up. It's situated right now on top of the Arkansas River. Starting to see some lightning with it, so it's going to grow as well. Not seeing much in Cedarville aside from the gust front itself coming through right now, but I know if you're in Cedarville or perhaps even Alma, you're hearing all that thunder from the thunderstorm that's just off to your north. This one's kind of congealing into one. It did develop as two distinct cells, but the last, let's say, 10 or so minutes, it's kind of developing into one cell, stretching almost the entirety of southern Washington County, extending into northern Crawford County, back towards Mountainburg. I'll be getting into Chester and even extending over close to Fern to a lesser extent. Jordan, just joining the stream, trying to figure out when to head to Posty. Do you think there will be any development behind the current cluster? Not sure at what point they decide to cancel or reschedule. Hey, Jordan, good question. I know they're watching it very closely. A lot of good officials there from Washington County Emergency Management to U of A, Police and Emergency Management there. I'm not seeing a lot of development behind it. I do think there's a possibility, yes. But, maybe if we can give it a little bit longer, we'll probably start to be in good shape. Now, I don't know when to tell you to get down there because I don't know about traffic delays and everyone else that's kind of waiting to see when the best time to go is. I can't give you any advice there, but I will say this little cluster, at least as of right now, starting to show some signs of kind of letting up. Lightning counts are coming down. In fact, you're looking at a 1-hour radar loop, and I'll kind of pause this. Let's do it this way, just for some context. That's an hour ago. And an hour ago, how much lightning did we have an hour ago? An hour ago at this time, we had 36 lightning strikes. Doesn't sound a lot, but that's a pretty small area. And now, in that same area, we're down to 14. So we're making a little bit of progress within the 8-mile radius of the concert, and which is what they're basing things off of. If you're just not tuning in, or if you've been on the stream for a while and you've heard me repeat this, sorry. But for the new folks joining in, the decision on whether to continue delaying the concert or let it get underway, it comes down to an 8-mile radius around Razorback Stadium. If there's any lightning within it, that 8-mile circle around the stadium, we're in a delay. Now, doesn't mean it has to be storming. I mean, it could be totally dry at the stadium. Rain could come to an end, but there's still lightning within that 8-mile circle. It's still in a bit of a delay. So that's kind of the window. It's a little bit bigger than just the stadium itself that they're looking at. And there's definitely some lightning strikes still occurring within that 8-mile radius. Looks like about 14 or so in the last 10 minutes alone. It is coming down, though, which is going to be some good news for us. Is Charleston going to get anything? Felicity is asking that. Probably so at some point. You got a couple of these showers are really developing just to your north. In fact, I bet you're probably hearing some thunder in Charleston at this point. If you haven't heard it yet, the way these are kind of blossoming, watch this. This is just like rapid development. This is a 15-minute radar loop. And not only do you see the one over Lavaca, you see the one up 215, and you get over towards Cecil, and you got another little shower trying to develop right there. So there's pretty quick development now occurring in the river valley. And that quick development probably going to bring you something at some point. Who all is at the concert? I was at the Garth Brooks concert, which I guess was the first ever concert at Razorback Stadium. Was that 2-3 years ago? Best concert I've ever been to. Hands down. Okay, so this is the one that we were talking about a little bit ago that I mentioned if one is going to try to go severe, it would be this one. So we're talking Winslow, Mountainburg, Chester, Devil's Den State Park. Right now, that cell, it's getting its act together, starting to misbehave a bit. Wind gust up to about 50 miles per hour out of that cell and penny-sized hail. And so we're still below those severe weather thresholds, but given the trends that I'm seeing there, we may be working our way into a severe thunderstorm warning with that one. Right now, though, we're kind of right below it. Still impactful, though, and that's the thing is, warning or not, it's still impacting folks' plans this evening. So that's a thing that I'm sensitive to as we track these storms. A lot of lightning coming up there tells us it's growing. You start to see those wind speeds come out 50 or so miles per hour for the folks camping. That's enough to rock the camper. It's enough to make the tent start to shake a little bit. Right? And that's what we're experiencing right now, in addition to the heavy rainfall. And the thing here is, when we look at this cluster of storms from Mountainburg through Chester, let's say through Mount Gaylor, Winslow, it's only moving at 15 miles an hour. We're talking it's crawling at a snail's pace. So yeah, not only are we going to deal with those winds for a little bit longer, but we're also going to start to tally up some water pretty quickly. These are really efficient rainmakers. I mean, we're talking there's so much moisture in the air. Just think about how humid it's been. It's going to dump a lot of rain. You could see some localized flash flooding there. With that specifically. In fact, when you look at some of these rainfall rates, I mean, we're talking in these darker purples, which I know I'm cherry picking a few locations, but even if you don't look at those, we're still talking 2 to 3 inches of rain an hour, assuming the storm doesn't move any at all. And virtually at 15 miles an hour, I mean, it's not moving much, and that's going to be a concern for us in terms of flash flooding as well as a severe weather potential. You can always tell like where these storms are strengthening, where they're starting to weaken based off of just the lightning alone. And the one there, Northern Crawford, Southern Washington, as well as the one in Southern Logan, those are the ones that are definitely starting to pulse up. Melissa in Yell County, goodness, you've had a gnarly little thunderstorm there in Yell County. Trees down across Highway 22 at Jones Bay. Yeah, that storm, boy, it's not severe, but look at those winds with it. You got a fair amount of lightning there, heavy downpours as well. And so that's going to be a concern. With that cell also moving pretty slowly, I don't know if you're going to get much relief really anytime soon. Let's take another look at some of those cameras around the area. It's been a second since I've looked. So this is going to be Fort Smith, looking off towards the east. That little billowing there off in the distance across Rogers Avenue, that's the cell over towards Lavaca. A pretty good view of that, actually, right there in Lavaca. Now you look from the Marshall's Museum, not a lot going on in East Oklahoma yet. We're looking west there over in towards Oklahoma. Here is Poto. Yeah, not a lot going on yet. Give it some time, and I think we're going to see some storms work their way your direction. Meanwhile, very overcast conditions, even some rain here, as you can see from Bentonville. This is going to be our Jack Links camera there along Walton Boulevard. I had this camera pulled up earlier, and that stinking pole's like right in the way. This is ACHE in South Fort Smith. Had that pointed over. And we're looking at downtown Fayetteville. Rain's continuing. That fellow there, he's running. He's trying to get to his car. He forgot his umbrella. That's going to be a problem for us a little bit longer. I do think we're starting to see some improved conditions in Northwest Arkansas as things are finally starting to drift in more so into the river valley. That process may not be immediately shutting off the valve, right? I think we could still can see some additional rain, maybe even some thunderstorms in Northwest Arkansas this evening, but we're starting to see a lot of this begin to shift a little bit further towards the south. And there's the thing that concert goers probably don't want to see right now. Gosh, look at that. Starting to see some additional pop-ups towards Highfill, XNA, if you're familiar there. That's to the northwest of the stadium, and given the southeasterly trajectory, that could roll those right into Fayetteville, or at least within the area. Right now, there's no lightning associated with those that are starting to bubble up, but yeah, it's not the best of news. Let's check back in on the River Valley, starting to get a lot more development in places like Lavaca. You got some just to the north of Charleston. Boy, Boonville is about to, well, it already is, but east side of Boonville is getting a thunderstorm rolling through. Look at all that lightning coming through right now. Town of Magazine, anywhere along Highway 10, 217, 109. Those storms are rolling through. It's about to be moving. I mean, it is virtually moving into Boonville now, but the heaviest is really about to start picking up, especially over towards Sugar Grove and Blue Mountain. Heavy downpour associated with that. It's been blossoming for the last 15, 20 minutes, and not necessarily a surprise there. But that's going to continue, probably building back off towards the west. I would even go as far as to say Washburn may end up getting in on the action there. That may try to eventually, with time, drift further south into northeastern Scott County. Gust fronts moving through Fort Smith right now. Winds are getting a little bit breezier. That's going to be the case here in the Moffat Bottoms, Roland, Bacola, Arcoma in the next couple of minutes. That's just the gust front, so that's just going to be some wind. But notice as that gust front passes through, you're starting to see some additional development. Now, this one in Lavaca tried to go. You saw it really pulse up really quickly, had some lightning with it. There's actually no longer any lightning detected with that cell outside of 96 there in the river bottoms. But you got a little bit more development over towards Harrelton, really just south of Kibler. Rain's getting a little bit more steady in Ozark. I would expect some more moderate rain to be moving into the town of Ozark. I know that concert's going on there. Hey, Shauna Skelton. Hey, Deborah. Hey, Angela. Bonnie says it's getting pretty windy in Boonville. Yeah, it sure is. Sure is indeed. Right now, I'd say about 30 to 40 mile per hour winds with that. Do have a new flash flood warning to pass along to you. It's exactly where we would expected it to be. It's going to be Washington County. This is an area that has seen a fair amount of rain pretty much for the last 2 or 3 hours. These storms are training, and that means they're moving over the same area kind of over and over and over again, pretty much from Fayetteville down to Greenland and all the way to the Washington-Madison County line. So, of course, that does include Elkins and Durham. You're now under that flash flood warning as rain continues to fall there. We've seen a decent amount of rain, and with some more continuing to fall, that localized flash flooding is a concern for us. And so if you want to be out on the roads this evening, you might just be mindful of that. No lightning at the moment. Well, yeah, there's that one strike. In Fayetteville. What about the Post Malone Jelly Roll concert? Yes, the question of the night, right? We're in the delay right now with some, while that activity in Fayetteville is starting to weaken just a bit, the additional development to the northwest does have me concerned. It's spotty at the moment. There's no lightning with it. You'd see it pop up here, but the way it's kind of bubbling up makes me wonder if we're probably not going to start to see some lightning in the next few minutes. Watch this loop here. This is 15 minutes, and you kind of get, well, let me do 30, because I think 30 will probably tell the story a little bit better. 30-minute loop shows, yeah, we were kind of dry there in the western and southwestern Benton County, and then you start to see some resurgence of those showers and those thunderstorms there, which I hate. Crystal says, we're here at the concerts. What does it look like? Any sign it's going to let up? Well, okay. I just said it. Here it is. Dadgummit. I was hoping I was wrong. Lightning is now starting to show up near Highfill and Cave Springs, which is outside of the 8-mile radius. But if that lightning continues to develop in those cells that are slowly moving and drifting to the southeast, that's just going to mean problems later down the road for that. This concert was scheduled to get started at 7:30. Obviously, we're in the delay, and I'm going to expect to probably continue to see at least another delay or two. Strongest cell is now in Crawford County. This is going to be Mountainburg, Lee Creek area, Mount Gaylor. Boy, it's a strong thunderstorm too. This is the one that could have 50-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail with it, as well as a lot of rain falling out of that. And we're talking heavy downpours, so be mindful of some of that flash flooding. Now, lightning starting to extend a little further south of that cell, so we could be starting to see some additional development out ahead of it, closer to Cedarville. Eventually, I do think we're going to get some rain closer into the Alma, Fort Smith area. Not seen a lot of that yet, but as you can see, that general projection there kind of rolls a little bit of it further south. Saw Wendell and Charleston. Charleston's dry at the moment, but you got a couple of rogue showers kind of on both sides of you to the north, and then one starting to blossom just to your south there off Rattlesnake Road. Here's the big picture. They're pretty scattered in nature. It's not like we're looking at widespread rain that everyone's seeing at the exact same time, but it is moving through pretty populated areas, impacting a lot of folks. Nothing severe. I know sometimes people see the stream and you think, okay, if he's online, if he's streaming, it's severe. It's not. Actually, my intent here is just to be a resource for you, just in case you're curious what's up. Nothing severe at the moment, but if you had outdoor plans or you are outdoors, whether that's the concert, you're camping, whatever it is, with all that lightning across some of those cells, you want to be careful about that. Hey, good evening, Angela and Sandra and Doris and Nicole. Thanks for watching. Alan as well. Is that Kyra? I hope I'm saying that right. Another Angela there. Jason as well. Lots of folks. Appreciate you guys here this evening. Current time 7:40. We're coming up on the expiration of, looks like the Weather Service actually canceled it early. That slipped past me. There was a watch in effect for Johnson, Logan, and Scott until 8 o'clock, but it looks like they must have just recently canceled that earlier, which is, hey, that's good news, positive news. In fact, they did that just a few minutes ago. So These storms moving at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. The average person walks at 7 miles an hour, just for some context. It's pretty slow. Lightning and thunder in Natural Dam. Shonda, thank you for that report. I bet there's a lot of lightning and thunder if I had to guess. What about the winds? I'm curious, Shonda, if you can estimate the winds for me. I don't want you to go outside and get caught up in that storm, but if you were able to guess kind of what they're doing, it may be helpful. No pressure, though. Estimating winds is actually really tough for people, including myself. With a cell right here in the river valley, in the river bottom specifically, north of Bloom or north of Lavaca, south of Kibler, it's trying to develop into something. Right now, it's just some heavy rain. I don't see any hail mixing in with that. Winds aren't doing much. We're not doing anything. It's just some heavy rain at the moment. Rusty, heavy rain, strong winds, constant lightning at Blue Mountain, which, of course, as we well know, right there in Logan County. Rusty, thank you for that report. Appreciate that. That cell is bubbling up. Let's take a look at it. It's been pretty consistently blowing up as well. That's moving closer and closer into Boonville. Things are going to get pretty interesting here in Boonville here in the next few minutes. And that rain, it may last a while if it can move more so into town. Let me loop this. We'll do a 1 hour. Yeah, it is really, really blowing up once that gust front comes through. Okay, Shonda said about 15 to 20. That's a good report. The radar would estimate a little bit higher than that. So I'm happy to get that ground truth that perhaps we're a little bit better. Let's see. Do you think we will get any rain in Roland? I think so. I think the odds are there. As I mentioned earlier, there's definitely a potential that some folks get left out. But I know our rain and storm chances continue into late tonight. So I think there's going to be some additional opportunities. But given it's so scattered, kind of hard to say for sure. Again, Fayetteville, you're still looking at some weakening thunderstorms right now, but the lightning is it's starting to come back up to the northwest over towards X and A. And the reason that kind of concerns me a little bit is we're trying to get that concert underway. And with more lightning developing back over towards X and A, south parts of Benton County, the way these storms are generally moving towards the southeast, that would bring it into your vicinity at some point. Given they're so slow moving, it's just going to kind of be a pain in the rear end, more than likely. I kind of noticed that lightning strike here. I'll kind of point to it. And if you're on your mobile device, it may be kind of hard. So here's Highfill, here's Cave Springs. With that lightning really kind of developing and sliding off towards the east. If I'm looking down at my phone, I'm trying to keep up with all your comments. It's really tough to do, but I'll try to answer as many as I can, as efficiently as I can. A lot of times we get kind of the same similar questions, so I try to speak to each of you individually. Yeah, that lightning's coming back up there, northeast Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, I'm afraid. Boy, I hate that. We're starting to get a little bit of a break. You can kind of see the breaking there in Fayetteville. Rain's continuing, but some additional lightning back up towards the northwest. Boy, I hope we can get that concert pulled off. I know a lot of folks have been really looking forward to that. Well, look at all that lightning coming into Mountainburg. Fern's now starting to see some of the heavier rain, the downpours. That's moving towards Mulberry, eventually to Dean Springs, Cedarville. I think you're going to get in on the action. Lee Creek, of course, Natural Dam. You're probably already starting to see some of that. And not too long after that, we'll probably end up seeing some storms in Uniontown. Those do probably cross over into Sequoia County. Roland, I do think you're going to get some rain out of this. It may just be a little bit. Hard to say if it's going to be this cluster or if it's some others that may develop later into the evening. But the way this is kind of drifting and really back building off towards the west there, interestingly enough, I do think it's going to bring you a pretty decent chance of rain. And as this would have it, it is going to continue moving towards the southwest into portions of the most of Crawford County is going to see rain. And on its current trajectory, I would be willing to bet a good chunk of Sebastian probably ends up seeing some rain out of this as well. It took a while, but the River Valley finally starting to see some of these thunderstorms. Didn't see a lot initially. In fact, it was all northwest Arkansas for the longest time, which wasn't a surprise. That's what the forecast called for, but it definitely took a while. So if you're kind of twiddling your thumbs thinking, okay, where's my rain? Well, I think we're going to get some in the River Valley. I think it's just going to take a little bit longer. Thus far, things have behaved for us. I'm hoping that can continue to be the case. Right now, our primary focus is a strong but not technically severe thunderstorm in northern Crawford County, as well as a strong but increasingly stronger thunderstorm developing in southern Logan County. Also of note here, watch this. I'm starting to see an increase in lightning south of Lavaca, where there's not even really technically rain falling, right on top of Bloomer. See the lightning strike right there? That tells me we're probably seeing some initialization right there. There's probably a little thunderstorm starting to bubble up there. Not seeing it on radar yet, but watch near Bloomer to see if we're seeing some development there, or perhaps it's just a displaced lightning strike from what's developing on top of the Arkansas River at the moment. I know if you're in Lavaca, you're hearing the rain and you're benefiting from the rain-cooled air. Alma, little thunder strike just to the south of you, not far from Frog Bayou right there. That's going to produce a little bit of rain. Gust front has now cleared Fort Smith. It's moving towards Arcoma, Roland. Muldrow is going to be next in line to see that gust front. You're actually not really going to see it, but you are going to feel the winds starting to get a little bit breezy, which is kind of a cool thing you see a lot this time of the year. It can spark additional development, and that's what we've seen in the River Valley over the last, let's say, about hour and a half there. And that's kind of what's kicking up some of those additional thunderstorms. Again, if you're just now tuning in, current time 7:48. We are tracking strong but not severe thunderstorms. Just wanted to be a resource for you here tonight. In the event something does turn severe, of course, but maybe you just had outdoor plans, or maybe you were just curious, okay, I knew weather was coming. Where's it at? What's it doing? When's it going to affect me? Starting to see some additional scattered storms, but they're not severe or even strong for that matter in southern Madison County. That's an area where we did see a fair amount of rain earlier. And by fair, I mean we saw more than we bargained for. Some localized ponding of the roadways, a little bit of flooding in some of the low-lying areas. We do have a flash flood warning in effect for Washington County, for Fayetteville, extending eastward into Elkins, all the way over to the Washington-Madison County line, to the south, including portions of Greenland. That's that maroon polygon right there. Of course, additional rain continues to fall. If you're at Razorback Stadium right now, I know there's several of you that are, and you're kind of tuning in. You know, the good news is we're not seeing, let me do this just to be on the safe side. Okay, I'm going to draw it right there. The rule that they're looking for tonight is no lightning within 8 miles. So let me pull up a ruler from Razorback Stadium. Here's 8 miles. Let's do a sweep around. We'll all look together, not seeing any lightning within an 8-mile radius of the stadium as of right now. A little bit of light sprinkles are continuing. I do think rain's going to pick back up. You've got some showers pretty much just off to your north and west, but it's light. I think we can deal with light rain. It's when we start to see some of that moderate activity move back into the area. Even then, there's no lightning with it, but when you zoom out a little bit further, and this is what I'm concerned with, have seen a couple of those lightning strikes over towards Highfill and Cave Springs, and those would eventually be tracking somewhat due southeast, and so that could bring it within that 8-mile radius should those continue. Looks like there's a new one kind of popping up over towards XNA as well, so that little cell may be trying to develop and produce a little bit more lightning, which would cause more delays, I'm afraid. Deborah, glad you're back. Was worried about you for a second. Good rain in Beverly. Thank you, Rick and Marcia. Good report. I'm going to see if we can't, I'll leave radar up while I'm doing this. If I can get a good view of some of those cells coming into the river valley, I think I can from some of our cameras. Let's try Ake first. This will be South Fort Smith. Not the best of view. Nothing too interesting there. Let me try Mercy Rogers. Beautiful little sunset. If anything, those storms do make for a good sunset. Look, especially to the one in Logan County. Yeah, I see a big heavy downpour. I'll show you that. Emily reporting very dark clouds and natural dam. You're going to get some storms here real soon. That's kind of what you're seeing. Let me show you this real quickly. This is going to be the Arkansas River looking from the Marshals Museum in Fort Smith. The water has been moving, and it looks like with that wind, there's a little bit of a chop to that water out there this evening. So this is going to be our Mercy camera. I was kind of looking at it. I thought it may give us a better look at what's happening just north of Lavaca. It's really not showing us much, but I'll keep an eye on that. We may end up getting a better picture. In Fayetteville, this is going to be downtown, so you're really only about a mile, maybe a mile and a half from the stadium. Hey, a little bit of sunshine trying to break through in Podo. It's beautiful. It's always beautiful in Podo. I don't care what day it is. It's always beautiful in Podo. There's Benton County, Bentonville, looking off towards the south and east, and you can look into some of those showers and thunderstorms there. All right, let's do this. I'm going to loop it. I'm going to go get another swig of coffee. I'll be right back with you. We'll keep the stream up until the threat's passed or until the storms are just completely over. Whichever one happens first, you're watching the 5 News Weather Impact. 7:57 coming up on the 8 o'clock hour. I did just check with our newsroom. There's no updates to pass along with regards to the concert. They are continuing to monitor the conditions and, of course, are maintaining that delay for the time being. Things have improved, at least temporarily, for the folks in Fayetteville. The question is, what about that stuff coming in from the northwest? That could be our next issue that we're dealing with. Meanwhile, if we take a look into the River Valley, really starting to see some of these thunderstorms become the more dominant ones. In fact, there's two areas that I've been watching over the last couple of minutes. You're going to find Mountainburg. It looks like that's where the strongest of thunderstorms is right now, as well as in Boonville. Those are both strong. Neither are technically severe, but my word, there's a lot of lightning with it, very heavy rain, and at least some gusty winds. Now, we did see some reports. I did see some reports in the comments section that we appreciate. I believe it was Shonda there in not far from Mountainburg that did give us an idea that maybe the winds were closer to 20 to 30 miles per hour. Should that storm meet its fullest potential, we're looking at about 50 or so. Now, again, it sounds like maybe that storm's not actually meeting its fullest potential, and that's what we want to continue to see. Electric flickering in Natural Dam. That's likely all that lightning. It could be some of the gusty winds, but that's likely all that lightning. Really seeing some quick development here in the Crawford County, Sebastian County river bottoms, north of Lavaca, just south of Kibler there. That's really coming up over the last couple of minutes as well. Kaylor says anything in Van Buren. You got a storm that kind of knocking at your back door right now. It may be a little bit. These storms are moving so slowly. We're talking 10 to 15 mile movement per hour. So that's pretty much a snail's pace when it comes to storm movement. It may be a little bit longer, but that storm is getting a little bit closer to you there. Finally quit the electric flickering there in Natural Dam. That's some good news. Winds aren't bad in Boonville. It gets pretty gusty, but mostly calm. Pretty heavy rain and thunder. That's a report from Bonnie in Boonville. Bonnie, appreciate you checking in with us this evening. Let's hope it stays that way. It's a slow-moving cell, so I bet you're going to pick up a fair amount of rain. Good news for those folks that needed to water the gardens. I know there are some questions in there from Fort Smith about, hey, should I water the plants or not? And so, we'll see. I think a lot of us are probably going to get rain. Some of us are going to get more than others, and inevitably, when you're looking at scattered activity, as scattered as this is, somebody's going to get left out, but we're only about halfway through this event. There's going to be some additional storms into the evening and overnight hours. Let's do this. If you're curious, I do have brand new Futurecast data. It may not be any good. I've not had a chance to look at it because I've been visiting with you. So let's take a look. This will be about an hour from now. It shows a lot of that in primarily the River Valley. I question that because we're seeing some development already in Northwest Arkansas, but it does show a fair amount of that moving into the River Valley. Midnight, things get a little bit better for us. Still looking at some scattered showers, even some redevelopment, perhaps closer to 3, 4 o'clock to the southwest there. So that's certainly something we'll want to watch. What about our Sunday? Well, Sunday's trending drier. Not entirely dry. I do think there's going to be at least some scattered rain through mid-morning, at which point we'll get a bit of a break, and then we're going to have to watch again for some of those afternoon pop-ups, which is pretty normal, right? This time of the year is pretty normal to get some afternoon pop-ups. So that's Futurecast. Again, I hadn't had a chance to look at it or even quality control it for that matter, but that's just kind of the nature of doing this in real time. We'll see if that's anywhere close to the truth. I do see some of that additional development back towards Highville, and that's what gives me some concern for the concert. It's not that that's a strong storm. It's not that there's anything really. It's more bark than bite, but it has just enough of a bite with a little bit of lightning just south of the airport, and that generally moving towards the southeast. That could bring that cell into the Fayetteville area. Now, it's possible that it can weaken a little bit here shortly. I don't have any lightning within that 8-mile radius as of right now. And I know the event organizers know that. They're probably working on making some decisions, and maybe we'll have some news to pass along to you here real shortly. But for the right now, we're going to get a bit of a break. Question is, what is to come from that activity towards the northwest? Now, northern Adair County near Chewy and Christie, that cell's coming up together quite nicely as well. Lightning starting to uptick there. A fair amount of lightning and thunder with a lot of these, but everything's kind of behaving. Nothing's really become severe thus far, which is some great news. Let's see here. Dottie wants to know about what about Scranton and Logan County? Well, we've tracked that storm in Boonville quite a bit. That's the one that's of concern right now. Boonville over towards the town of Magazine, Blue Mountain. That's where we see the strongest of activity. Scranton does have some rain in the vicinity. You got light rain, and that's about it at the time. We do have a potential for some stronger storms moving in later, but right now Scranton, it's just all light rain. That extends up towards Clarksville, pretty much everywhere along the Highway 64 corridor between, let's say, Mulberry over towards Clarksville. Is that fair to say? Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Soon, though, that's going to be moving into the Alma area. You notice that cell, which is the strongest of them, that's getting a little bit closer into Alma. That lightning count may be down on that one just a bit, not noticing near as much as what we were. But how about Fort Smith? Starting to see a little shower really bubble up right on top of Fort Smith. Where did that dude come from? That's kind of the nature of some of these. Within one radar sweep, you start to see them just blossom. Let's do 15 minutes. That's the shortest duration I can go. Look at that. You go from literally 0 to now heavy rain and lightning falling in Fort Smith, which is just how volatile the atmosphere can be. There's a lot of storm fuel, and it's so hot and muggy today. I'm not telling you anything you didn't already know, but that can, of course, play a role in some of these, and that's seemingly what's developing there. Again, it's not severe, but it does have some lightning, and that's our concern with a lot of outdoor events this evening. That's going to be the primary immediate concern, depending on where these storms roll through. You know, maybe we're starting to see some additional flooding would be a concern. Okay, let's see. Is this okay? Storm chaser Brandon Wilson, 5 News Storm chaser Brandon Wilson, 60 to 65 mile per hour winds just came through Dean Springs area. That's high. That's a little bit higher. That should necessitate a warning. I'll pass that along to the Weather Service. See if they're watching that. Let me do that real quick. Send that note to them. Lori wants to know, what about Mulberry? You got some storms rolling through. Part of Mulberry is already seeing some rain. You're going to see it intensify here in the next few minutes. Dylan questioning Fort Smith. Hey, that thunderstorm in Fort Smith popping up across parts of town, especially right on top of 540 right now. Let's say near the Rogers, Grand, Kelly Highway exit. We'll see if that thing doesn't continue to expand and grow in coverage. I think it probably will. It's not severe, but it is dumping a little bit of rain. It's small, but it is mighty. Let's see. What did they say back? Built up pretty quickly. Yeah, I'd say so. The strongest of cells that we see is the one moving through just north of Alma, between Mountainburg, Mountainburg, Dean Springs, back towards Cedarville. A good friend of 5 News, one of our storm chasers, Brandon Wilson, reporting some very strong winds there. Pass that along to the Weather Service, see if they want to issue a warning based on that. Radar is a little bit tricky to see right there, but definitely some gusty winds, without a doubt. Boy, look at that storm just really growing right on top of Fort Smith. Let me go in a little bit closer. Kincaid Avenue, 540. Carol Ann Cross Park. I mean, my goodness, you've got some thunderstorms. If you're just seeing these for the first time, it's something I added to the map relatively recently. These are the Walmart locations in town. And so you got the Walmart there off of Kelly Highway. That's going to be that fella right there. If you're familiar with that, Arkansas State Police, not far from there. Of course, we had that tragic shooting right there along 540 and that same location. Then you've got the green one. That's the neighborhood market. That one is going to be the green W you see right there. Someone says, are you growing a beard? No, to be honest, I was just lazy today. That's the honest to God truth. Is Fort Smith going to get that big portion? Well, I think you're going to get that cell that's kind of developing and really blowing up right on top of you right now. You're going to get that first. You very well could see that cluster of storms. It is trying to work its way further south and east. It's looking a little bit more ragged than it was, and that's why I'm not going to give you a definitive yes. In fact, not only is it looking a little bit more ragged, kind of less intense, lightning's also come down in that. We were seeing a lot. Now we're seeing some, but just not near as much. Let's go back to Boonville. That cell has pretty much parked itself right on top of Boonville, down towards Tate. Heavy rain, a lot of lightning. It's a good old-fashioned thunder shower. It's not severe, nothing to be concerned with in terms of severe weather there, at least as of the moment. From Vesta through Peter Pender, Cecil, Mulberry, Pleasant View, Meg, you got a good old thunder shower rolling through portions of southwestern and south and western Franklin County. Some of that does extend over towards Altus as well. I know we had that outdoor concert there in Ozark. Dang it, the weather looks like that may have impacted that one as well. You got a little bit of rain up toward Oark. St. Paul starting to see some lightning and some thunder. We don't need any more rain there in Madison County. We got more than we needed earlier this afternoon. Fayetteville at the moment, you got some light rain showers. The question is, what does this activity back up here do? It does have some lightning with it. And while, yeah, right now it's outside of that 8-mile window or that 8-mile radius that we're watching, when you start to track it, let's do just 1 hour. Give us an idea of the general trajectory of it. Yeah, some of that's trying to move a little bit further south and east. Let's just hope it weakens. Let's hope the atmosphere's worked over enough that it just isn't going to develop into anything more than it already is, which is a real possibility for us. Yeah, technically I'm wish casting, but it's a possibility. Lightning also is still a possibility, though. That concert's going to be a tough decision for those that have to make that decision. We try to help them as best we can, but thankfully it's going to be up to them to have to make that. They're trained for it. They're equipped with it. A lot of good experts there, looking at the forecast, looking at the radar as well. In fact, let me check in with the newsroom. Make sure they don't have an update that I just missed. Not seeing anything. Look at that outflow boundary right here, right along the Arkansas River, not far from Fort Coffee, near the Braden and Pawpaw communities, but we're in the river bottoms. I love the river bottoms. A little shower starting to develop along the gust front itself. The gust front's moving through Pensacola and Hackett right now. That's going to kick up the winds. Those winds, 30 or so miles per hour, 20 to 30. That's not the actual severe storm, but you'll notice on that gust front, you start to see some additional development. Basically, those are just mini cold fronts, and they can really kick those things up. And we've seen that already. Finally, Scott, is starting to sprinkle in Paris. Deborah, thank you. You're going to get a little bit of sprinkle activity, maybe some more coming your way. None of this is organized. You know, this is just like some good old-fashioned clusters of thunderstorms. Hey, nothing's severe right now, and so I always get really nervous. If I fire up a live stream, I'm not going to give people storm anxiety where it's just unwarranted. We do have a severe weather potential. That window's still open. But right now, everything's behaving. I'm just trying to be here to be a resource for you. Maybe if you do have a little anxiety because you just knew what was in the forecast, maybe I can provide a little bit of peace to you, but that's really about it. I ain't got nowhere else to be other than here tracking them with you. So if you're just kind of curious and you're thinking, oh God, he's on, it must be bad. It's not. And now these storms are strong and they're dumping a lot of rain and they've got some lightning. But right now, truth of the matter is everything's more bark than bite, just the way we like it. If we're going to have storms, let's just hope they're more bark than bite. And that's what we've got at the time being. Unfortunately, it's a Saturday night in Arkansas and Oklahoma in July. A lot of folks have outdoor plans. Lightning becomes a problem, especially when you're trying to put 30,000 people in a football stadium for a big old concert, which I know is a source of some grief for a lot of folks that are watching on the streams right now. They're at Razorback Stadium. I don't have any news to pass along to you. I did just check with the newsroom. They don't have anything. We actually have crews there at the concert. So hopefully we can get some more information for you here shortly. If there is any to pass along, we'll see if we can't work that in here on this stream. I want to take a look at a few cameras, get an idea of what it looks like outside. We'll do that together. I'll pull some up for us. First, let's start with this one. This one's going to be, this is going to be Rogers Avenue here in Fort Smith. Our camera sits atop Mercy Hospital. Right now, it's pointed off towards the east into the thick of that cell. This one just blew up. I mean, this one went for like bam, 0 to nothing, which is going to happen with some of these cells this evening. It just takes that one little spark to overcome, and then they're off to the races, and that's what's developed. Looks like it's probably going to be tough travel there up and down 540 Rogers Avenue for the next little bit until that cell can move on out of the area. Oh man, can I pull up this camera? This is gorgeous. How can I do this quickly? I got another one I want to show you. Where is it? Come on. I want to show you the Marshall's Museum. Okay, so this is going to have some music over it. Sorry. I'll talk over the music. Rain shaft over there just across the state line into east side of Oklahoma, just across the state line there in Sequoia County. If you look just under the words Fort Smith, that's that little tiny thunder shower that's developed along the actual gust front itself. You can see that downpour really well. It's going to be this fella. I'll zoom into it and show you what we were just looking at. It's going to be this one right here. Kind of what we were just looking at there. Good soaking rain across a good chunk of Fort Smith. Not everyone's seeing the rain, though. I know we got a lot of friends watching on the stream in Fort Smith. I see I'm trying to get you some rain. I'm trying to get it where you don't have to water your yard. Although there's some folks that don't want the rain, so you can stop mowing. I love mowing, but I might be on the verge of wanting a little bit of a break. I just can't keep up with it. Boy, there's just not a lot of movement, especially once you get north of the Bobby Hopper Tunnel. This is a 1-hour loop. And I mean, yeah, they're moving, but they're moving so stinking slow, 10 to 15 miles per hour. At that rate, it's going to take a while to get these things to clear on out. Now, some of them have been kind of raining themselves out, meaning they dump a lot of rain and it just kind of cools off the atmosphere, which prevents them from becoming severe. There's that. That's good news. But if you're wanting a safe bet for guarantee of rain, yeah, maybe not. Starting to see a little shower now developing just to the north of Sallisaw, right along that outflow boundary, that gust front, right between Brushy and Sallisaw along, let's see, that's Oklahoma 101, I believe, Aikens, the Aikens community, right there. That's a little shower coming through. That's probably going to continue to kick up a few more into LaFleur and Sequoia counties as that outflow boundary continues. It maybe eventually brings more into portions of southern Sebastian County. Maybe eventually into Scott County. Question is Siloam done for the night? No, I don't think so. And the reason I don't think so yet, granted, it may be a bit of a close call. Notice kind of just what's off to your west. You got some additional activity right here near the Kansas community along 412. You got more up just to your south, which that's going to miss you. But some of this activity up here, closer and closer to Tulsa, it's all tracking slowly southeast, and some of that may clip you again in Siloam. So, yeah, you got a bit of a break right now, but I wouldn't entirely rule out some additional development. Now, when I go back and look, there's that one lone lightning strike near X and A. Let's do another 8-mile sweep here. Again, if you're just now tuning in, you're wondering, hey, when's this concert going to get going? What they're looking at is a circle, an 8-mile radius. Is there going to be any lightning within 8 miles of Razorback Stadium? I'm trying my best to keep that at 8. It's kind of tough to do. And right now there's not. Right now, there is not any lightning. Now, it's not just an immediate, once there is no lightning, I think there's 30 minutes after the last lightning strike. So we might be seeing some movement soon based off kind of what we're seeing here. I just wonder how long it'll last. Good evening, Cameron. You told me you would be watching. There you are. Good to see you. Boy, that shower really just blowing up right on top of Fort Smith. Let's go back to that camera again. We'll pick up Mercy Hospital. It was doing a really good job for us. I mean, it's still coming down hard. Getting a little bit of sunshine here downtown Fayetteville as the sun begins to set. May make for a really pretty sunset. This is a look from Bentonville off to the east. That's that activity developing towards Madison County, I believe. Some of those little towering cumulus heads right there. Not as much lightning in the Fort Smith area. Certainly there's some, especially once you get closer to Kibler. But I would also say closer to Pensacola as well. Look at that. You're not even close to a thunderstorm, but near Hackett and Pensacola, you've got lightning, and there's not even a thunderstorm there. I'll have to watch to see if that's not one developing, which is what we've seen earlier. That's kind of one of those early indicators. Okay, certainly something could be trying to develop in that area. Just also goes to show you, even if it's not raining where you're at, you want to be lightning aware, because that lightning can happen displaced from an actual thunderstorm. That's why they don't say go indoors when it rains. That's what they say when thunder roars, go indoors. Turn around, don't drown. It sounds so cheesy, right? I know we've got some cheesy sayings, but the hope is it just helps us remember some good advice. When thunder roars, go indoors, turn around, don't drown. Both pieces of good advice for tonight. In fact, I think flooding, kind of where we're at right now, I don't want to close the door officially on like a severe weather potential, but I'm not feeling like we're going to be seeing a lot of warnings. How about that? I'm definitely feeling a lot better than I did, at 2, 3 o'clock this afternoon. They're strong still, but in terms of like actual severe weather, not seeing a whole lot of that at the moment. Did just get a measurement of a wind gust in Adair County of 63 miles per hour. Was that measured or was that an estimate? That was a Mesonet station, which is an actual measurement. I wouldn't be surprised. We're probably about to see a severe thunderstorm warning for Adair County. Let's see if that clips portions of Washington County. At any rate, that would be our first one, if that is to be the case. That was measured, so you get a measured wind gust. That's a lot different than a guesstimate. 58 mile per hour is where we start to see warnings being issued. I don't think we're going to see a lot. Now, certainly the severe weather window does continue. It's going to be at its peak between now and 10:30. It doesn't necessarily go to zero after 10:30. In fact, we'll continue to see a storm potential overnight, with things slowly but surely starting to taper down by sunrise tomorrow morning. Given it's scattered enough, I think we're kind of looking at coverage similar to what we've got now through about midnight. After midnight, I think it's going to start to trend more isolated in nature, meaning fewer and fewer of us are going to be seeing these storms roll through, but certainly some will. Have a way to receive warnings tonight. You know the drill. I don't have to tell you this. And that lightning's getting a little bit closer. That may be within, dadgummit. Okay, there's that severe thunderstorm warning coming. I'll show you that in a second. How close is that lightning strike? So Razorback Stadium's here. Oh, it's right on the edge. It's right on the edge. Let's go to our first severe thunderstorm warning of the day. This is going to be for Adair County and Washington County. 60-mile-per-hour straight line winds are going to be possible out of this. Ton of lightning coming out of that. Not much in the way of hail, perhaps some pea-size hail, but or perhaps I should say, I want to clarify that, perhaps as much as penny to nickel size. It's probably going to be a little bit on the smaller side of things. This does include the town of Lincoln, Arkansas, Westville. It does include the Cincinnati community, Peavine in Adair County, to name a few. If you live between Peavine, Westville, let's say over towards Cincinnati and Lincoln, you're going to have these winds up to about 50, although I will say, up to 60. And that's confirmed winds. That's not a Doppler estimate. That's confirmed by an actual weather station that we've got that sits in Westville. So that's where those winds are right now. You can kind of see that pocket of wind right there. It's just that. There's no rotation with it. Let's hope it stays that way. The tornado threat tonight's virtually zero, but man, you never know. Try to tell Mother Nature what she can and can't do, and she'll prove you a liar every time. I do think it's going to be wind, and if more than anything else, if we are to see severe weather. This cell, gosh, you won't believe how slow it's moving. Unless you've been on the stream and I've already told you the answer. It's moving at 15 miles an hour. I mean, it is just a snail's pace. Nikki says, I've had my fun with storms and tornadoes. I'm moving to Antarctica and taking my chances with a polar bear. There have been times in this job I've felt the same. Storms continue all across South Fort Smith now, finally starting to get in on the action over towards Barling. If you're at Ben Guerin Park, you got a little bit of rain for you right there along 540, extending pretty much over towards Pecola. There's the Walmart there. That's the Zero Street Walmart, I believe. Heavy rain continues all up and down 540 between Pecola and let's take it all the way into Van Buren. Well, at least some rain, maybe not heavy at this point. Looks like it's kind of shifted a little further towards the east. Not a lot in the way of lightning. Kelly says, know anything about the concert at the stadium? Yeah, well, I don't know anything new. I'm checking with our newsroom every few minutes, see what they know. And we don't know anything new. I'll say that. We were trending in a favorable direction, but we had started to see some lightning back toward the northwest, and that seemingly is now pretty much right at the 8-mile radius. So, Kelly, what they're looking at is there can't be any lightning within 8 miles of the stadium. So even though things were letting up in Fayetteville, and you're thinking, oh, well, it's letting up, and I can even see a little bit of sunshine, the fact is there was a strike of lightning about 8 miles away, which is right in that threshold in which they're going to probably do another delay. You can see it right here. Let me make it bigger again. Right there. Right along Highway 16, west side of Fayetteville, over towards the Weddington community. It's pretty much probably right on top of Lake Weddington is where that would be. Nikki lives in Chaffee Crossing. It's windy, rainy, few rumbles of thunder. Checks out. Radar confirms that too. Hey, if you are at Razorback Stadium, you got some more rain moving back into the air. You know, it's light right now, but it may pick up and become a bit more moderate, even at times some heavy rain over the next 30 or so minutes. Grab those ponchos. This is a 3-hour radar. It's the first time I've showed that tonight, and you can see, gosh, it's taken 3 hours to make that little progress. They're moving slow. Why is that? Well, there's a couple reasons why. Number one, this time of the year, the jet stream's pretty displaced from us, and so without that jet stream to help provide some upper level support in the wind fields, there's just not a lot to move them along. Number two, the boundary or the front that's kind of working its way through the area, helping to spark a lot of these. It's pretty weak. And so overall, wind fields are just generally pretty weak with this. And so that's also what's mitigating the severe weather potential. If the wind fields were more impressive, then maybe we're a bit more concerned. Maybe we're looking at a tornado potential as well. And given that we're not, that's helping us in one regard. On the other hand, it's a pain in the rear end for the folks at Razorback Stadium. It's a pain in the rear end for those that are getting some flash flooding, which is what we've seen thus far in parts of Madison and Washington County. Probably going to start to see some of that in the River Valley here real soon. It doesn't take much to get some flash flooding, especially across parts of Fort Smith. And with that rain shower developing right on top of us and not really moving, yeah, it's probably going to be a thing. Well, that storm, I should say, has really developed almost just right along the Arkansas River, uh, right along the river there. And then you got that cluster that it was pretty intense as it came out of Mountainburg, but it's been weakening with time as it pushes towards the southwest. Right now, rolling through Cedarville, Uniontown, finally getting a little bit of rain in Uniontown. Thunderstorms popping up near Pecola, Salisaw as well. You're going to be hearing the thunder from that. That's a very messy picture. That's like really disorganized, and that's good. Those sound like negative terms, but when it comes to preventing widespread severe weather, it's good news. That said, if you're just now tuning in, maybe you have the 5 News app on your phone and you saw the alert come through. We got our first severe thunderstorm warning of the day. This is going to be for Adair and far western Washington County. This does include Lincoln. It does include Westville. And the reason this was issued is we actually have a weather sensor, anemometer. It's a device that you use to actually measure official wind speeds. It's located in Westville. It's part of the Oklahoma Mesonet, and it measured 63 miles per hour. Technically, to become severe, it's 58. So once we got that measurement, bam, Weather Service drew up that warning, and there it is. And that's going to run until, I think it's 8. No, it's already past 8. 8:45. So about 16 more minutes to go with that. Right now the time is 8:29. So got about 16 more minutes to go with that warning. Let's hope it weakens and rains itself out a little bit. I think that's largely been part of the reason why these thunderstorms haven't been able to become stronger, is because they are moving so slowly. They're kind of raining themselves out. To get a good, healthy, severe thunderstorm, you have to have some balance. There has to be a healthy updraft and a healthy downdraft that's displaced from the actual updraft. Otherwise, you're kind of just cutting out the inflow into it. I'm getting probably too technical here. Sorry. These aren't balanced thunderstorms. They're pulsing up, and then that updraft is starting to billow those clouds up top. It's becoming healthy, but then all that rain just starts falling back down on it. And when it's out of balance like that, the outflow, it becomes more dominant, and those cells just really aren't able to pulse up and become severe. And that's good news. That's working in our favor to a large extent right now. We'll see if that doesn't change. And as the sun sets, we do get a low-level jet factored in. Sometimes that can enhance some of that. But right now, I'm not seeing a significant severe weather event for us. Don't want to rule at least some severe weather. Obviously, we're seeing it right now, Adair and Washington County. But in terms of a situation where we're going to just have a ton of warnings, I don't know. I don't know if that's likely. Just about a minute after 8:31. We appreciate you being with us here. I've got us live streaming as in many places as we possibly can be. We're on 5 News Plus. We're on the Weather Impact 24/7 channel. I always invite you to find us there. You can do that on your smart TV. It's free. It's called Plus. Makes me think it's not. It's free. Totally free. Totally free, despite the name. We stream there 24/7, rain or shine. Live local weather updates around the clock, no matter what the weather's doing. Certainly in situations like this, we really ramp it up. I'm also on our Facebook, Channel 5's Facebook, my Facebook, YouTube. Anywhere you could possibly need us, I'm trying to be there. So if you have some errands you wanted to run, and you don't want to step away because you're curious what's going to happen, you can just put me in your pocket. Find me on Facebook or YouTube. I'll go along on those errands with you. Okay, let's see here. Newsroom. No news there. Do you have some updates on... There's a big water main break in Van Buren. Y'all know about that? Big water main break in Van Buren closed several roads in downtown Van Buren. That happened a little earlier this afternoon. I I was made aware of it a little after 4. I suspect it looks like they're still working on it. We just had a crew there on the scene checking things out. That's what that update was. I was hoping it was a concert update I could pass along to you. I'm hoping to give some folks some good news tonight. Rarely do I get to give good news. I'm always jealous of when someone else gets to. Y'all having a good day? Saturday in July. Most of the day was dry for a lot of us. Hopefully you got some errands in before it got too hot. Goodness, it was hot. I scuba dove this morning at Beaver Lake. It was good. Water was great. Water was awesome. But once I got out and dried off, sheesh, it was hot. Got in the car quick, got out of there, got back in the AC. Windy and wet now in Charleston. Finally getting that shower to work its way into Charleston. That had been a growing little thunder shower there. A good chunk of southern Franklin County south of the river seeing a good soaking rain. Soaking indeed from Charleston through Peter Pender, Cecil, over towards Webb City as well. That extends back up towards the west, Lavaca, Bloomer, Kibler, Haroldtown. You've got Central City and Barling seeing some rain. Crosses the state line over into Pecola and Arcoma, getting a good gully washer right now in Arcoma. We love a good rain. There were some folks that needed some watering of their plants, and I'm happy that Mother Nature provided for you. If you haven't got anything yet, now give it time. This it's widely scattered, and we've still got a window to go, a ways to go before it becomes more isolated in nature. Let's do this. Let's zoom out. I'm going to do a 3-hour radar loop here. Gives us an idea of kind of the overall trajectory of some of these. Notice back up towards the west, you've got this cluster coming out of northeast Oklahoma. It's developing in an upscale fashion, becoming more widespread. There's a fair amount of lightning with it, some heavy downpours. It's not severe. In fact, the only severe warning we've got right now is the one in Adair in Washington County, far western Washington County. The Fayetteville's not included. The stadium's not included in that warning. It's several miles off to your west. But some of that's going to continue to try to work its way towards the south and east if it doesn't fizzle itself out, which, given how slow it's moving, is a real possibility. Now I do have some rain moving into Waldron, southern Sebastian County, finally getting in on the action. It's scattered and broken right now near Washburn, but expect some more to continue to work its way into the area with time. Pretty looking sky in Rock Island. Yeah, I bet so. I bet so with some of those thunderstorms rolling through. Got a spotty thunderstorm near Aikens, just north of Sallisaw. It's producing a lot of lightning, and you're probably hearing that in Sallisaw. So let me show you this. This is going to be the storm risk versus timing. I like to look at it this way to give folks an idea of kind of like how to plan their evening. Our level 2 is now. Our level 2 risk runs until about 10:30 tonight. Now, just because 10:30 is going to strike doesn't mean the severe weather threat's technically over. It just means the window is going to start to close. It's not like flipping a switch, as much as I wish sometimes it was, and I know you share that feeling too, but it'll gradually decrease into the overnight hours. And so while thunderstorms may continue overnight, it's going to become more isolated. Now, as I've told you in the past, I've not got, this is brand new data coming in, brand new futurecast. I've not looked at it, so I don't know if it's any good. I haven't quality controlled this. We're looking at it in real time. What we see is 10 o'clock, more of the activity, more so in the River Valley. Certainly some stronger thunderstorms there in the River Valley at 10. You go a little bit further, let's take it to 11. We're pushing to the south. Looks like it wants to kind of congeal some of that activity into more of a large cluster as opposed to the scattered nature it is right now. Not sure I buy that. Maybe the placement's good. Coverage, we'll see. Here's midnight. Northwest Arkansas is largely good. 1 a.m., it's weaker. Hey, it's got some good sleeping weather in the Ouachitas. 2 a.m., scattered rain. And then look by 5, 6 o'clock, we're getting closer to sunrise. Some scattered redevelopment is going to be possible. Now, I think it's going to be fewer and far between through the 10, 11 o'clock hour. And then by the afternoon, maybe there's a few afternoon pop-ups, but that's to be expected really this time of the year. So I think generally speaking, that futurecast that we just walked through, it's probably doing a pretty decent job. I've seen worse. I've seen worse today. That latest set of data seemingly has a pretty good handle on a lot of it. Let's take a peek outside. Pull up some cameras here. It's starting to get dark. Not going to be as useful to us here shortly. All right, this is Poto. Looking a lot cloudier than it was earlier. We saw a beautiful sky earlier. Go back to Fort Smith. This is our Mercy Hospital camera right along Rogers Avenue. I've left this pointed towards the east into the heart of that big downpour. Still raining. It's a good soaking rain. And as you can see, if you look closely on the parking lot, you can see the wind is kind of driving some of those sheets of rain. If I had to guess, I'd say probably close to about 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. So not consistent, but occasional gusts passing by. I haven't seen any lightning yet. There have been a fair amount of strikes there within that cell. Go to the Marshals Museum. This is looking off towards the west, right over in Oklahoma, where that shower, if you look towards the top left of your screen, that's going to be the one just north of Salisaw. That's the one you're looking at right there. Of course, this is the Arkansas River. Go to South Fort Smith. This is ACHE. Can't see as much there. Let's go to Bentonville. Dry in Bentonville. Starting to really dry things out in northern Benton County. There's a chance, and I know we had somebody, I'm forgetting her name. It'll come to me. In Pea Ridge was wanting some more. She wasn't happy with how much she got, and I'm afraid the window for that may be closing for you. While we're here on the Jack Links camera in Bentonville, I want to spin it around because I think there's actually a fairly decent little sunset happening, but we're looking in the opposite direction that we should. So if you get motion sickness, look away for just a second. I don't want to get you sick. Are you kidding me? That pole is right in the way. Oh, how about that? That's some Mamadas clouds. Hold on, focus. I love Mamadas clouds. They're beautiful. They look like little pillows on the underside of the thunderstorm. Focus. There it is. Ah, man. This is a treat. Will somebody screenshot that and send it to me? I think I just screenshotted it on my iPad. That'll work. Ah, how cool. How cool. I didn't know we were going to get Mamadas clouds out of that. I thought we were just looking for a good sunset. Mamadas, man, they are just some beautiful, beautiful little clouds. Not necessarily rare, but I don't get to see them enough. Take a look in downtown Fayetteville, looking off towards the north there. Got a break in the clouds in Fayetteville. This is not far from Razorback Stadium. Every time I say Razorback Stadium, I have to prevent myself from saying the old name, Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. That's not what it's called anymore. I can't remember the new name, though. I still call 49 540. I'm old. Old habits die hard, I guess. Well, I was going to see if I couldn't spin that one around. A Fayetteville chamber camera there in downtown Fayetteville. Move that fella off towards the west, but I'm wasting too much time. I'm not going to worry about that. Hey, y'all are hanging out with me tonight. Hope I can provide a little bit of a resource to you. We're just tracking storms together. We got one severe thunderstorm warning right now. We'll go back into live radar on that. Folks may just be finding the stream. We got that one severe thunderstorm warning in Adair in far western Washington County. That severe thunderstorm goes until 8:45. So we have 5 more minutes with that warning. Let's take a look and see what we think it's doing now. And then we'll work our way back into some of the other cells. So this is that warning. And you know what? I am fairly confident based off just a quick glance that at 8:45, that warning is going to be allowed to expire. That cell is just simply not as pronounced or organized as it once was. That cell looking a lot less menacing, certainly some lightning and maybe even some gusty winds, but not looking too bad right there. Let's go back into this Fayetteville. Okay. All right, we're lightning free again. Maybe we're looking in a little bit better shape here. Not seeing, in fact, it's kind of drying out right now in Fayetteville. Got some showers in Farmington, just to the west side of Tawnytown, right along 412 near the Illinois River. You got a heavy downpour. Elkins, you've gotten some rain, probably more than you wanted out of that. Sorry about that. You've seen a lot of rain today. That maroon there, folks, is a flash flood warning. That flash flood warning was issued as we saw some big, heavy downpours. It's going to run until 10:45 this evening. We measured between about 1 and 3 inches of rain, and the Weather Service said, okay, there's a little bit more rain beginning to fall, so we're going to go ahead and just issue that warning. That may have gone out to your cell phones, and that's a reason for that. As I said that, I realized I've got the crawl running in the bottom of channel 5. That's ran long enough, and with rain starting to taper off, I'm good with taking that out for the time being. That's what I set the way to do. I forgot y'all were watching. There's always eyes. All right, let's go in the river valley. That's where we got more activity right now. This is kind of panning out. It doesn't always happen this way. Mother Nature loves to humble you. But this is panning out pretty much according to the timeline that we really thought things would shift into the river valley and become more widespread there. And for all those of us in South Fort Smith and Arcoma, got a good soaker. Lavaca, you've seen a lot of rain. That little thunderstorm blew up on you, didn't it? And it didn't move. It just continued to grow. Boonville, it's finally clearing up for us a little bit. Sell is now to the south of town, getting closer and closer to Mansfield, which is an area that hasn't seen a lot of rain yet, but that's going to be rolling through. No lightning with it, so you may be hearing a few distant rumbles of thunder, but it's not severe. I wouldn't even say it's strong. It's a thunder shower. That's likely going to be about it. Now, this one over towards Salisaw, Aikens, and Brushy, it's not moving hardly at all. That may be a situation where we start to see a little bit of flash flooding as well, until it rains itself out, which has been happening a lot with these cells. Rainfall rates right now in Aikens is about 3.5 inches an hour. Now, that's not to guarantee Aikens and Brushy or even North Salisaw 3.5 inches of rain, but what it does tell us is if this storm isn't to move at all for a full 60 minutes, that's how much rain you have in your rain gauges. Now, we know it's moving, but only about 10 miles an hour. For the context here, this is crazy. The context is the average person walks at 7 miles an hour. So if you put a little pep in your step, you're going to outwalk this storm. That's how slow it's moving. Let's give it a couple more minutes and I'm going to go take another quick coffee break. I'll keep the stream up. I'll put the radar up. I'll set it to kind of zoom in on some locations, bounce around, keep you posted as things are going. I just got to stay caffeinated, you know. Let's wait till that warning falls off. I'll feel a lot better about it at that point. Let me check in with the newsroom once more. No news. Is frustrating to folks that are at the concert. I know, I see your comments. I know you're there. I know you're watching, and we appreciate you watching from there. I don't have any news though. It looks like there have been no updates. Let me just check a couple more sources just to be on the safe side. Okay, I have an update as of 14 seconds ago. Post Malone, 8:45 show update. Oh man, this is from the Razorbacks. This is, dadgummit. I got excited thinking it was news. It's a tease. They say a show schedule update is coming soon. Stay tuned. Razorbacks sent that out 22 seconds ago. So, I saw it post up and I thought, oh man, I've got to break some news for a few folks, but I'm afraid, no, not necessarily. Okay, that warning has fallen off. We've got no active severe weather in the area right now. Strong thunderstorms, heavy downpours, lightning. It's good to sleep in weather. I love to sit on the back porch in the rocking chair when this stuff happens, when it's not severe, right? And maybe you can enjoy it a little bit. If you got some storm anxiety, no worries. We're going to get you through it. We'll hang out on the stream here until either all the storms are gone or the threat passes entirely. So give me about 5 minutes. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute coffee break here, go wet the whistle, and then I'll be right back with you here. You're watching the 5 News Weather Impact 24/7 stream. All right, 8:56. Thanks for giving me that little bit of a break there. Got some coffee. We're good to go for a little bit longer. I geeked out earlier on some Amadas clouds, and there's still some. So if you missed that, I just love them. They're my favorite clouds. They're turbulent. They're little pillows underneath clouds. You often find them after you've had some strong storms roll through, and that's what you're looking at live right now in Bentonville as the sun begins to set there off in the distance. We're still waiting an update from Razorback Stadium. We do anticipate an update here at any moment. Lightning at this point has kind of come down there around Fayetteville. And so I do suspect maybe we're going to have a little bit of movement here in terms of getting that concert underway. Now, right now, as we come closer and closer to the 9 o'clock hour, we have nothing severe across the 5 News viewing area. No active severe weather warnings in place at the moment. We have a flash flood warning that's been in effect for Washington County for quite some time. That is going to run until 10:45. So that's the maroon color you see there on your screen across parts of Fayetteville. Let's begin our radar update there simply because we have so many people packed into Razorback Stadium right now that have this live stream pulled up. I've seen your comments and messages. Appreciate you letting me join in on the fun tonight, even though I couldn't be there in person. I'm sure it's going to be a great show. A little bit delayed, sure, but I think we're going to be in okay shape. Now, the rule is, I apologize if you heard me say it, but I know you got new people on the stream every so often. The rule is this. There's a lightning strike detected within an 8-mile radius, or if you think of it as a circle around Razorback Stadium, within 8 miles around it, no go. We're delayed until that lightning threat's passed. Right now, I don't see any radar, any lightning really at all across most of Washington County. Let me actually zoom out. I can almost say there's no lightning at all in Washington County at the moment. And so it looks like officials there are going to figure out how to get things underway is my suspicion. I think it's generally going to be some good news for us. As soon as I had that from the newsroom, I'll pass that along. I got everything pulled up because I want to be the first to let you know some good news. I want to give good news. We do have some strong thunderstorms elsewhere, though. Adair County is a perfect example. Near Peavine and Cherry Tree, up and down Oklahoma 59. That's a pretty strong thunderstorm. This one in Sequoia County developed, and it's starting to rain itself out. You're going to notice, if I loop this for an hour, you notice it kind of develops, and it really tries to intensify. But because it's not moving any at all, it's using up all the available fuel there. And because it's not moving, it's using up all the fuel. Inevitably, there's not any left. And what you see right now is that process beginning to happen. You see it starting to fizzle out. Now, it may take a little bit longer, but it's starting to fizzle out. Let's get into Fort Smith. Things are starting to dry out for us. There's still some light to moderate rainfall, depending on where you're at in the Fort Smith area. You have a lot more rain back towards, let's say, Arcoma, into Pensacola, Panama, Shady Point, Rock Island. That activity is heavy at times, a lot of lightning with it, so you're going to be hearing the rolling thunder. Nothing severe. Now, finally starting to get some rain in southern Sebastian County, where it's taken a while. And Greenwood, yeah, you may not get a lot. Seemingly, it looks like it's going to try to split you, but we can hope that some stuff continues to develop around you. Mansfield seeing a little bit of rain, especially on the north side of town there along 71. That's good news for the folks that didn't want to do any watering this evening. More rain, more storms have built back into Booneville. We had that storm move through earlier, and goodness, it dumped a lot of rain. Had some localized street flooding there. Did see one report of that. Starting to improve in southern Franklin County. Those storms are really starting to fizzle out. A lot of this is because the sun is set. We've kind of cut off some of that fuel that these storms needed, and because of that, you're going to start to see what was widely scattered slowly transition to more isolated in nature. Isolated meaning, yeah, there's still storms in the overnight hours, but probably fewer and fewer of them. I've got an update here. I'm going to read. Let me bear with me here. Okay, nothing too earth-shattering. It wasn't about the concert. Okay, don't need to read that either. Yeah, overall weakening trends. Still some scattered thunderstorms around, on and off. Lightning where they're the strongest, but given that they're moving so slowly, our main concern at this point, let me speak for myself. Main concern is now less severe weather, and it's increasingly more just some flooding. That's going to be the primary focal point. Not to rule out a rogue severe thunderstorm. Plenty of potential does remain, especially in the river valley, for an additional severe thunderstorm. Damaging winds would be the most likely hazard should that happen. Should we get a warning? Should a thunderstorm pulse up and become problematic, try to misbehave? But right now, given there's ample moisture in the atmosphere, slow storm motion, not a lot to kind of scoot these storms out of the area, it looks like some flooding is going to be our primary concern for many of us in the evening and overnight hours as well. Doesn't look like we're going to end up with a severe thunderstorm watch. I really thought a good majority of the area would end up with a watch, but it was just those three counties, Johnson, Logan, and Scott. That was actually allowed to expire a little bit earlier even. So in many ways, we're improving. We're in better shape than we were an hour ago. I said that an hour ago. It was true then. It's true now still. So we'll continue tracking these storms and just be a resource for you, whether you're out and about camping this weekend, whether you're at Razorback Stadium ready for a big concert. Just think of it this way. You've got some good bonding time with you and 30 other thousand fans there in the concourse, waiting for a good show. Two great performers. I'm sure they're going to entertain you. Three. I forgot about the opener, Carter Faith. That was bad on me. So, anyways, I'm sure it's going to be a great show. Just got to get a little bit longer, and we'll see if we can't get that underway there at Razorback Stadium. More of the activity shifting into the River Valley. That was to be expected with time, and that's what's occurring right now. Very widely scattered thunderstorms producing some heavy downpours. At times, the lightning could be a little bit loud for us, which I know can be alarming to some folks, but at least at this point, nothing severe. We've only had one severe thunderstorm warning. In fact, all day long. And I'll be honest, I was a little surprised by that. I figured we'd have 3 or 4 at this point. Not the case, at least as of yet. Tri-State Speedway got soaked and had to cancel. Dadgummit, I'm sorry about that, Carrie. Appreciate you letting me know, though. Barbara said not a drop in magazine? Did it just move all around you? I got a report that there was some rain in magazine. Should be a little bit of rain right there right now. I guess it kind of depends on where you're at in magazine. Just making sure I'm not missing any comments. Kind of tough to keep up. I apologize. I do my best. There's a lot going on, a lot of screens. Boonville's getting it again. Heavy downpour. Let's look at some rainfall estimates. What do you say? We'll do 12-hour. Let's zoom out. Start from the big picture, work our way in. The heaviest of rain, and I made some posts about this on Facebook and Twitter earlier. I was pretty concerned about Madison County. That cell was dumping a lot of rain and it just wasn't moving. Now, these are rainfall estimates. Take it for what it's worth. But your rainfall gauges at home in your backyard is going to be far more accurate than this. It's just the radar doing a good guess. But those numbers actually seem reasonable. Those numbers seem reasonable, and you can start to see where that flash flood potential was there across eastern Washington County. So plenty of folks have seen some rain. Now, there are some locations that have been left out, but we'll see if we can't get you some more. Southern Logan County was really, my goodness, we had some high amounts there too. Let's see if we can get some estimates to pop up. There's 2.5 inches just outside of Boonville. Pacola's already picked up about an inch. This cell, probably about an inch there, almost an inch north of Salisaw. That's going to be that Aiken cell. Yeah, right there. Where these storms have been, the air is much more stable. It's cooled off. We've kind of absorbed or we've used up some of that storm fuel. That plus the loss of daytime heating now that the sun is set, that's going to inevitably result into an overall weakening trend. That trend, we'll see if it holds in terms of Fayetteville and getting that concert underway. But we're continuing to see some showers and thunderstorms. You look kind of back off towards the west, some of that activity coming out of Delaware and Adair County. That's the stuff that I'd be worried about right now. Going into the River Valley between, let's say, Boonville, over towards Mansfield, Hackett, into Pecola, Roland, Salisaw. That's where the heaviest of downpours are right now, which is really kind of where that outflow boundary is set up. We don't see that outflow boundary really. It's not as pronounced as it was earlier, but that's that, and perhaps maybe just the actual front itself is kind of draped there from Tulsa back towards Waldron. It's a very broken line of those showers and storms there, but you can kind of get the overall picture with that. Let's take a look. I'm curious if those Mamadas clouds were still there. I had it half of mine to just look at those all night. Well, it's gotten dark. Fiery little sunset here in Rogers. I'm sure there's music over me. Maybe it's like it's a mood. We're setting the mood with that little bit of music. But nice sunset, right? Nice. Let's pull up. This is downtown Fayetteville, looking off towards the north. I did just see a flash of lightning there off in the distance. Let's hold it there, see if we can't see that again. You know, lightning is a problem. Typically, we don't track it this closely, but when you're trying to get a concert underway that everyone's been waiting for, you track it really closely. Yeah, okay. I may have just had one within that 8-mile window. I'll pull this up for you. Okay, you see it? You see where that lighting's at? Near Elkins? Okay, 2 have just now popped up. Dadgummit! Let's see if it's outside of that window. Or that radius. Oh no. Oh, it's right there at that 8-mile mark. It's right there, 7 to 8 miles away. Big yikes. I was hoping to give good news. We'll see. We'll see. Man, what a bummer. Stillwell, good goalie washer coming through right now. Southern Adair County. That's slowly going to be drifting off towards the south. Maybe if you're in Cedarville, Uniontown, Barcelona, Natural Dame, you're hearing that thunder, I'm sure. That one may miss you. Question is, how far south does it go? You know, this activity here, it's really falling apart. We kind of tracked that a few minutes ago. South Fort Smith, even downtown, starting to see some activity finally as well. A little shower right on top of the river, not far from Central City. Getting over towards Lavaca. A little bit of lightning there, not far from the Budweiser can. Good moderate to heavy rain. Probably just heard that rumble of thunder in Bloomer. South of Charleston, you're seeing some more moderate rainfall, especially just west of 217, right on top of Rattlesnake Road. But it's just moderate rain. The stuff you're probably hearing is what's back over towards Huntington, Midland, Mansfield, Hartford. Hartford, I know you're dry right now, but that thunderstorm is trying to build its way your direction. I bet it's going to. Good soaker right there. Good soaker. And I suspect within 30 to 45 minutes, we'll actually end up seeing a weakening trend in this. They're just raining themselves out. That and the sun setting is just 2 mitigating factors, which, you know what, I'll tell you, it's prevented more severe weather tonight. And for that reason, I'm thankful. I don't know, many of you are as well. No one wants severe weather. Had the one warning. I really expected more, but I ain't complaining. Not one bit. The threat at this point is really shifting to more of flood concern, I think, for a lot of us. I want to show you the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. They have updated this map a bit, and essentially all they've done is just taken out Benton and Carroll County out of the level 2. All right, breaking news update for you. The Post Malone show is going to start at 9:30. So here in 20 minutes, that just into the newsroom. That is going to be starting at 9:30. So good news for the folks that are there. I can hear your roars here at the station. Let's put that on the Facebook real quick. All right, now we just got to keep our fingers crossed that there's no more lightning. That last one was a close call. I don't know. I think it was within that 8-mile range, but since it's going the other direction, maybe it's okay. I don't know. Glad it's their call, not mine. You can't win in some of these situations. Can't please everybody. But we're dry at the moment. Let's see. Is this little shower going to roll through? It may come close. Actually, it looks like it's drifting a little bit more southerly. So you know what? Hey, we may finally get our break. Still some activity. We're going to have to worry about western Benton County all the way up towards Decatur, Siloam Springs, where it's raining again. It's not severe, but the lightning's kind of up there as well. Strongest of cells right now looks to be in southern Adair County. That's the one that is going to have the heaviest downpours, the most lightning, the most thunder, and perhaps even some gusty winds up to about 30 or 40 miles per hour. That's all I'm seeing out of that cell. Scattered activity between Lavaca down to Greenwood, Pecola, parts of Fort Smith now. Mansfield's getting a good soaker. Waldron finally getting in on the action. It's taken a while, but you're now starting to see some moderate rainfall come through. Boonville, rain continues for you folks there. Paris, you're getting a little bit of sprinkle activity, not much more than that. Ozark, light rain continues. Oark, moderate rainfall all the way down toward Hartman and Coal Hill. And that little cell that's in southeastern Washington County, really just more or less central eastern Washington County, coming into Elkins. It's small, but it's got a little bit of lightning with it. So good news. We've got 16 more minutes and that concert's going to get underway, barring any additional lightning. Oh, let's check out the comments. Are we happy? Showtime. They are telling people to take your seat slowly and calmly, especially if it's wet. Levi Smither, I see your comment. I gave you a little shout out earlier. The donkeys are safe and sound. Good, good, good. Cash, rain and thunder, and gusty winds in Van Buren, off and early. Okay, cool. Zombie Owl and Siloam on Twitter saying, hey, I'm sick of the rain. Turn it off. Yeah, you've had a fair amount today, haven't you? A lot of this at this point is good sleeping weather. I've said it earlier, and if you've been with us all night long, I apologize. You have to hear me say it again. Sometimes I know I hear from you that my presence, anytime we're doing a live stream, you think, oh, if they're on, it's bad. That's not the case at all. Not the case at all. In fact, I just want to be here as a resource, give you some peace of mind, if anything, and tell you things aren't bad. Right now, they're thunderstorms and they're loud. And hey, lightning's a problem. It's not severe, but it could be a problem for some folks, give you a little bit of anxiety when you hear that thunder, or maybe you're going to be driving and you're just not too confident driving big, heavy rainfall. Whatever it is, happy to be here for you. We'll stay with it a little bit longer. Of course, we do have a 10 o'clock newscast. I do suspect we're going to see a similar radar picture then as what we're seeing now in terms of widely scattered activity. Although the anticipation is the later we get into the night, certainly after midnight, while it still could be storming across parts of the area, it's likely going to be a bit more isolated in nature, not this widely scattered activity that we're tracking right now. Even looking back over towards Tulsa, still quite a bit of heavy downpours, some strong thunderstorms, but that 1 hour loop tells the story. You notice if you look at the beginning of that loop, you see a lot of darker reds, more lightning. It's a stronger thunderstorm, easy to see all the telltale signs, but now okay, yeah, we're starting to see it break up a little bit, more yellows instead of reds, less lightning strikes as opposed to what we did have. So overall, we're trending in a favorable direction. Tammy, how is Coal Hill doing tonight? How is Coal Hill doing tonight? Got some light to moderate rainfall right now. Todd Bryant, my buddy there, he was wanting a half-inch of rain. I don't know if we got it for him. He's got bad luck. He's got like a rain shield around him. I don't know, man. No rain right now. A little bit of light rain to the north side of town. Some of that could drift into Coal Hill, Hartman. It's light, though. Wouldn't expect a whole lot to come from it. Where's just some lightning near Prairie Grove? I think that's going to be outside of our 8-mile radius. Not by much, but enough. I got a strike there near Farmington. Oof. I'm nervous. No, it's right there on the edge again. I don't know. You got that one, and then you got some of these over here. They're close. Yikes. I feel the tension in that room right now as they're discussing that. Rain's starting to come down. It's less intense as it was in Siloam. You know, Decatur and Gravette really haven't seen a lot. I know you had some earlier, but for the most part, a lot of the heaviest activity has stayed south of 412, and that means a lot of Benton and Carroll County kind of got left out of this one. Yeah, that cell is fizzling out. Interestingly, I think I see something. Let's see. So there's a little outflow boundary right there, and that's going to be some cool air coming out of this cell, punching. That's a terrible arrow, but hopefully you get the point. There's another little outflow boundary right there coming out of these cells. Arrows are hard. Those could collide and spark a few more thunderstorms here in northwestern Sequoia County. We'll see. Watch that radar. You can kind of see those. Yeah, it looks like there's already that's what that shower is right there. That's a result of that collision. It probably doesn't amount to much. And on a different day with different factors, maybe sunshine, more storm fuel, better wind shear, things of that nature, that would be a concern. Finally starting to see a little bit of development back over here towards Brent, popping up right there on top of the lake. Missy got a good soaking rain in Midland, much needed. Awesome. I'm so happy to hear it. I'll be honest, I'm a little torn. You'll know I love to mow. Like, I love to mow, but lately I feel like I'm mowing a lot. And it's because we've had like fair amounts of rain, like decent little downpours, little gully washers, and I just can't keep up. I love to mow. I just hate not being able to keep up. Like, I got to come to work. I got to do this with the dogs, training with. I know adult problems. Why am I complaining? There are worse things. I'm just chit chatting here, just chit chatting away. Robin asking, can we get in? I think you're probably talking about the Razorback Stadium for the concert. They are allowing people to take their seats. So I think you're good to go. I think you are. Oof, there's another little lightning. Guys, I'm nervous about this. I'm nervous that they're going to send people back out. We'll see. I don't know what they're going to do. I can't predict what a person's going to do. But when I start measuring like that, it's getting a little bit closer. It's going to be a little harder to ignore that. I think this is our strongest storm now on top of Mansfield towards Hackett. Pause that. A lot of lightning, heavy downpours. Let's look at the rain. Rainfall rates. Oof. Yeah, Mansfield. Holy moly, you're getting a little bit of water. 4 to 5 inches of rain an hour. If that cell doesn't rain itself out soon, and it probably will, I think it's going to, but if for some reason it tries to hold on too much longer, you may start to see a little bit of flash flooding. That's a lot of rain in a short amount of time. Now, that's not guaranteeing anyone 4 to 5 inches of rain. Well, all that radar product here that we're looking at is telling us, like, hey, if that cell isn't going to move at all, that's how much rain you'd pick up in the matter of 60 minutes, an hour. Now, these cells haven't been moving very fast at all, 10 to 15 miles. That's as quick as they're moving, which is just really, really slow, like obnoxiously slow. For the last hour, we've seen that little thunder shower really expand westward. And so right now I'm not too concerned with flash flooding given that rainfall intensity hasn't been ongoing for very long. Question is just how soon can we get that to either fizzle on out or move out of the area. Hey, Greenwood's getting a little bit of rain. I was nervous you were going to get left out. I still don't think you're going to get a lot, but hey, you're getting a little bit of rain. You're settling the dust mentally. Bacola, things are starting to quiet up for you. Still looking at some rain in parts of Fort Smith, really over towards Arcoma, down to the south side of the town, getting close to the airport, not far from the radar site. You got a little bit of light to moderate rainfall, but that's really starting to calm down for a lot of folks in Fort Smith. Moderate rain in Roland. You got a few showers passing through parts of Van Buren. They're light and kind of spotty. Certainly a vast improvement from what we saw, an hour or two ago. go back to Fayetteville. They told folks, hey, you can go to your seats. We're going to start that show at 9:30, which is virtually now. Since then, there's been a couple of strikes. I'm not sure how they're going to respond, but if you start talking about that 8-mile radius again, we're within it. And we're about 5 to 6. Earlier, we were right on the edge at about like 7, 7.5, 8. Maybe you could ignore that. But at 6 miles, I don't know. I don't know if you can ignore that. We'll see how they respond. It's a close call either way. God bless them. Let's see something here. How much fuel is left? There is not a lot of storm fuel left at all. Watch this 3-hour radar loop, 3-hour loop. In fact, 3 hours ago, okay, 6:30 when that severe weather window was opening. Sheesh, those are some high numbers. But as those storms have developed, you can see like the cool outflow, the rain-cooled air is just squelching it. It's just zipping it and zapping it. And that's kind of where we stand right now. It's not totally gone. There's still some there, especially north of the boundary in parts of Benton and Carroll County. I don't expect a lot of development there, but you can't entirely rule it out as the atmosphere has recovered a bit. You get into southern LaFleur, southwestern Scott County, where some storms are at right now. There's still some fuel with those. Take a look at the next 3 hours. What radar could look like. That's probably reasonable. $9:30 the time, y'all. Appreciate you spending some time with me here. You sure I've made this this evening go by pretty quick. Dahlia said, is the Post Malone concert canceled? No, I've seen no semblance or signs of that. In fact, they said it was going to start at 9:30. That was about 20 minutes ago. They gave a 20-minute heads up, said, fans, take your seats. We're going to kick things off at 9:30. I don't know if they actually have or not. We'll see. We'll see. At some point, I'm going to have to do, and maybe now, I'm going to have to do a little bit of show prep for the 10 o'clock newscast. So I think, yep, that's what I'll do. I'm going to leave live radar up. So I'm going to have it set to kind of bounce around from location to location, give you an idea of kind of what's happening storm-wise. I'm not going far. I'm literally going right back here behind me. I'm going to get the 10 o'clock newscast ready to go. Darren's anchoring tonight. Alex is in. It's almost like the weekday crew is here. Noah and Lauren are off on a much-deserved vacation. Not together. I don't know. That sounded weird, but like Noah's out. He's doing something really cool. Much deserved vacation. So we'll have like the weekday crew in for you on the 10 o'clock news. You can catch that on traditional TV or, of course, on 5 News Plus. In the meantime, I'll leave this up. Even during the newscast, I'm going to leave this up on Facebook and YouTube and on the Weather Impact 24/7 stream. So if you want to catch us there, storms probably are going to continue at least on and off for some folks overnight. We'll have the latest there here in just a bit on the newscast. And then right after that, I'm not going to go home. We'll be here around the clock. We always are, certainly on nights like this. So let me take you back to that radar image real quick. All right, be back with y'all here in just a few.